Okay. Big tech platform holding back the truth. Yes, of course. Just to be clear to the person in chat, Biggie Miggy, you said, yeah, only 6% of them found it to be helpful. Did you think when I said that it would be helpful for incels, my Discord, not yours, to go to therapy, I meant that they would self-report that it would be helpful for them to go to therapy? Is that what you thought I would say? No, it's that the advice that you're going to be given by most mental health professionals is going to be good. Whether or not you willingly take that in, one, and two, whether or not you consider that advice to actually be helpful are two entirely different things. I would say more often than not, incels are given the answer to their problems, but they often don't take it. And so trying to convince them of what is the answer to their problems is rather difficult. And just saying it has a low rate of user surveys saying that it was helpful is meaningless. That's a meaningless thing to bring up. We're gonna watch Aaron and Pixie on Fresh and Fit? We could. Wait, on Fresh and Fit? They went on Fresh and Fit? Where the hell is the VOD? Rumble was Sneeko, I think. Oh, well, that's not Fresh and Fit, right? Or did they do another thing? Well, they're clearly on it.
Pixie and Aaron over here, we had a long, lengthy debate about feminism.
So clearly they're on it. So where the fuck is...
And about Andrew Tate and about cam girling and stuff like that. I'm wondering if you guys have anything to follow up before we get into the chats.
I love Andrew Tate.
I don't know. I guess they deleted the VOD. You watch Destiny's VOD? I guess I could. Wait, Zerko shows... Where was this? Oh, this was a long time. What the fuck? Where... This VODs. Stream VODs. God, I hate YouTube.
Reasons why you should leave it. I believe...
Showed up an hour later.
Yeah.
It was...
Wait, is there a new JCS? Is there a new JCS? What is that? Dest VOD got nuked while I was watching it? The fuck happened? Was it 2 days ago? Oh no, this is was it 3 days ago?
Always something.
Oh no. Well, it is what it is. Moving on.
Have returned. The green M&M got her boots back, but apparently is now a lesbian, maybe. And there's also a plus-sized, obese purple M&M. So we're going to cover that, of course.
Will M&Ms still melt in your hands if they identify as trans?
Apparently, there's new lesbian characters.
You need to run from women like the green M&M. I do not trust her.
Purple M&M has was added to push acceptance and inclusivity.
You conniving, climbing little bitch.
If this is what you need for validation, I'm worried about you. I think this is the kind of thing that makes China say, like, oh, good, keep focusing on that.
Yeah.
Keep focusing on...
All this... What? They realize the reason why, like, companies do this is because it creates controversy and gives them millions of dollars of free exposure, right? Just make our shit woke and then Fox News will cry about it and give us like hundreds of millions of eyes on our product.
I'm giving people their own color M&Ms.
I found the VOD on Rumble. Can you link it in Twitch chat?
While we, take over all of the mineral deposits in the entire world.
Is this orange a man or a woman? I don't know. Is this blue? Is it non-binary? Is it democratic? I don't know. It's blue. I don't know.
Women all know that the women that are like, I'm a woman and I'm pro-woman and look how pro-women I am. You can't trust them.
Green M&M is disgusting.
She's an opportunistic, evil bitch.
Wow.
Crazy. All right.
Welcome to the Fresh Fit Podcast. After Hours Edition, we're joined a bunch of little ladies and...
Wait, hold on. Didn't we see this? Everyone.
Welcome to the Fresh Fit Podcast. After Hours Edition, we're joined a bunch of little ladies and some black dude.
Leg for girth.
This nigga, bro. Let's get it going. Let's get it going, Chris.
I'm managing his OnlyFans.
Oh, you say y'all like...
I'm changing the game.
So wait.
You're pimping him.
Okay. So do you have the OnlyFans or does he have the OnlyFans?
We both do, but I manage his OnlyFans. And
Okay.
I manage other people's OnlyFans too.
Okay. So he has an OnlyFans, you have one, but you manage his.
Yes.
And he's your
And
boyfriend.
I manage all the money.
Okay. Okay. And he's your boyfriend.
Yeah.
Okay. How long y'all been together?
like 2 weeks. Maybe a week.
What the fuck?
I asked a question.
One mic at a time.
It's
All right.
really a question.
Yeah.
Does a beta man necessarily have to be considered feminine?
Yes. No. What's a beta
Yes.
man to you?
A beta man
Let me, before we do that,
question.
let's finish this line of questioning. Save that for, because we're gonna
It's
let
on
y'all
this.
ask us a question
question.
anyway, so don't worry. Okay, so gender roles is what you think.
Yeah.
All right. What about you?
No.
Are men and women the same? No. Why not?
For a lot of the reasons the other women stated, biologically, gender roles I do agree with to a certain extent. Yeah.
All right. Do you think men and women are equal?
Currently, no. Men and women are not equal.
But ideally,
Economically, socially, but yes, they ought to be equal. Yeah, of course.
Okay.
You don't think that they're the same economically and socially?
No. There's certainly differences in American society and globally in which men are systemically advantaged over women.
Can you explain those?
Like what rights? What rights do we have in the West that women don't have?
And that segues to my second question. What rights and privileges do men have that women don't?
Well, there are some issues that pertain specifically to women, like reproductive rights, that don't apply to men. But even those specific issues are like rights. Women are not enfranchised with those rights like they should be. Like women should have access to comprehensive sex education, but most women are going to require additional rights that they need to be endowed with that don't apply to men, like access to abortions, contraception, etc.
But that's, you're not really answering the question, though. The question is, what rights do men have that women don't have? I also can't kill a baby. We both can.
You're presupposing that abortion is murder, right?
Yeah.
You believe abortion's murder?
100%.
You believe a fetus is the same as like a human being, a baby?
It's a life, yeah.
Yeah,
So
if it
we
has a
both
heartbeat.
cannot kill babies. We're equal.
I mean, I don't.
Well, actually, she can still kill babies in certain states.
Murder. Oh, you can commit murder though.
In certain states,
Yes, about 50% of the United States still allows for abortion.
for abortion, are you not pro-choice?
You know, surprisingly, I actually am pro-choice. But for women to say that they don't have the same rights and privileges as men is very interesting. And when it comes to reproduction, you guys unilaterally have all the rights. Men have zero reproductive rights.
Though.
Yeah, I understand that. But what I'm trying to say is that when it comes to reproductive rights, men have zero reproductive rights, whereas women have all the reproductive rights.
What are some reproductive rights that you believe like men should have?
That's
that
their
they don't
choice.
currently
Well,
have?
here's the thing. Men, for example, if you have a child with a man, the man has zero right to anything with that baby. If you want to keep the baby or if you want to abort the baby, you have 100% control over that. That man has no control. So if you decide I'm going to have the baby and he's got to pay child support, well, that's on him. If you decide I don't want to have the baby and he wants the baby, he wants the child, he doesn't have any say in it.
So you're talking about like custodial rights.
He doesn't have rights, period. Men have zero reproductive rights in the United States or any first world Western country.
You have to just let him have this. This is true. Men have no reproductive rights in America. Outside of the meme, just don't have sex. Because even if you say don't nut in them, what if the condom breaks? That's still not considered in my reproductive rights. If I wear a condom and it breaks, well, I'm a father now. Or You know, I have to pay child support, whatever, right? It's completely up to the woman. Men have no reproductive rights. That is true. You just have to bite that bullet and move on. Title change? True. Sorry, I was out. Yeah, Geek, if you want to talk, we can. How can you be forced into child support if you have no say if the child gets born? Just legally, that's how it works. Let's go. Okay. All right, what's up?
Yo.
Howdy.
I've been waiting for this moment for 3 years.
3 years.
Finally, something we disagree on.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, I wanted to start with the video, the gym video, because it's the most recent shit.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of like, should men approach women at the gym and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing where I disagree with you, where I feel like your take is like, yeah, it's okay and everything, but the problem is that, sure, it's okay for certain men, for the people who already understand like certain shit. And I feel like it's not the majority of men. 99% of men, like for instance, like if you try to approach a woman at the gym and like you're going to take some precaution, you know, you're going to try to approach and say, hey, sorry to bother you, just want to say like, you know, like, I don't know, I find you attractive, like whatever the fuck. Anyway,
Yep.
And if the woman says no and everything, you back off.
Sure.
Most men, like if a man gets rejected, it's going to become a why. You know, it's going
Sure.
to become an insult on like his manhood and shit like this. And that's the problem for like most men. Like that's the problem where like that's why I have a problem. Where I feel like the advice doesn't apply for the majority of cases.
Okay, so then would you say we shouldn't date online? Online dating shouldn't be a thing? Because
I mean, obviously I disagree with that,
the majority of the time it ends poorly. The majority of the time it actually ends in people like being worse off. Would you say we shouldn't have online dating?
I would say online dating is different because if like I argue too much, you can unmatch, you can block, you have like recourse that you don't have in real life. That like in real life you don't have a way like, you know, I don't know, unless you go to complain to like security of the gym, like yeah.
I'm not saying that you as an individual. I'm talking about because your issue with approaching people is that people misuse this tool, being able to approach people IRL, and it makes people uncomfortable. People consistently have been shown to misuse online dating, should it still be a thing. Because people will deceive other people, like online dating, the vast majority of people's experiences with online dating is bad. Therefore, people do not engage with online dating in a healthy manner. So should we ban it, online dating?
No, because it's not just about the misuse of this tool. It's about the misuse of this tool, plus the fact that like you kind of like, I want to say you leave women no choice. That like you're in a situation where women cannot like just like, you know, throw a bomb, a smoke bomb and disappear.
Sure.
Like
so
online.
because women can choose to be online and that's something like participate in online dating, and you feel like they can't choose as much whether or not they go to a gym, you shouldn't approach them under those circumstances. Because a woman cannot choose to just, generally speaking, stop going to the gym. It's not appropriate to approach a woman at the gym, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Long story short, yeah.
Okay, so can you approach a woman at school?
I would give the same response, which is that like for 99% of cases, no.
Okay, so men cannot approach women at school. They cannot approach women. I'm assuming this would apply at work as well, correct? At a job or workplace?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can't approach women at work, you can't approach women at school, you can't approach women at the gym. Can you approach women at, like, the mall or the grocery store?
If you want to take it... Okay, here's my thing. You cannot... How can I say this?
Take
My
however much
advice
time you need.
Here's the problem. In my like, if I follow my reasoning, in 99% of the cases, I would say no. You cannot approach.
Okay.
Because, like, yeah, men aren't capable of taking a no and just say, "Oh, okay, have a good day."
Just to be clear, I agree with that point that you're making. That people handle rejection very poorly, and I think, unfortunately, especially men, with the way that we're socialized. I agree with those points. However, it presents as the exact reason why I was going into the problem I did with the gym, which is that young men at 13 years old are getting completely mind-fucked. I was one of these men, and I followed what you're saying. I can't approach women at school. They don't have a choice to be in school. I don't want to make them uncomfortable being one of their classmates and approaching them in the middle of school. So where can I approach them? I can't approach them at the gym. I can't approach them at the grocery store. And do you know what happens? They never approach. They never get practice. They never build that skill. And you stay alone. You have to be able to approach women in public. It just simply has to be a thing. Because otherwise you present as one issue. The men who are not going to listen to you are going to be successful in relationships because a lot of the times it's fine if you approach a woman in school, in a workplace or whatever, right? You need to do it tactfully, but a lot of the time it's fine. That's how the majority of relationships are formed in school or at the workplace. That's how it happens, right? But it falls under the exact conditions with which you specified. And so it's going to be men like me, or like primarily how I was. I'm working my way out of it right now. It's a process. It's going to be men like me that stay single their entire lives, stay incels their entire lives, because I'm never going to approach a woman, and the only way that I could approach them would be on a dating app, and I'm not going to win on a dating app. I'm just not. I don't have what it takes, and most men don't have what it takes. So under your system, how do I approach a woman? How do I get a girlfriend? Because I spend 90% of my time, I can't do it. I can't do it at school. I can't do it at the workplace where I spend the majority of my life. Where do I do it?
Here's the thing. Here's the problem that I have is that technically my answer is going to be you can do it because like you understand like the kind of dynamic. You understand that like if someone says no, it's not a personal attack. It could be that like they're in a relationship or it could be for 10,000 other reasons. But the problem is that like some of us have to be lying because everyone I talk to understands this perfectly. But every time I talk to a woman, they're always approached by like creeps and shit like this, or in the most creepy way. So some of us are lying.
I don't think it's that some of us are lying. I think it's just that the people who approach women the most are some of the worst people. Dr. K, I know you're not a big fan, but Dr. K talked about it, and I actually think this is a really good way of pointing out. The reason why so many men hate so many women and so many women hate so many men is because we're all fucking and being in a relationship with the same group of people. It's because the people who suck the most get in and out of relationships so frequently that they're constantly ping-ponging between every single person. So when women talk about, I hate men so much because they do X, Y, and Z, it's because they're fucking and they're interacting with the same small group of men who are very desirable externally, but are very terrible people, so they're in and out of relationships in a flash. Same with men. We are interacting with the same group of women that are fucking terrible, toxic people, and they always get kicked to the curb every 3 months, and they're back on the market, and they're with a new person in the next 2 weeks. And that's the way that I just think that this happens. I think the majority, when we're talking about the women that do have these terrible experiences, I think the majority of these terrible experiences of like rejecting a guy and having him fucking freak out or whatever comes from the men who disproportionately care the least about the shit that we're talking about. They're the men who are just like, fuck it, I'm going to approach a woman in the middle of her set at the gym and shit like that. And that's the reason why. It's because they're trying 100 times a day approaching women. And as whereas like I've tried approaching, I think, 3 times in my entire life, IRL, I've tried approaching. Well, no, that's not true. Outside of the bar. I've tried approaching 3 different times. I think the bar is a bit of a different dynamic. It's obviously half the reason why people go there. But you know what I'm talking about. Under normal circumstances, I've tried approaching 3 different women. I know people who have tried 300 times. And these people might be those groups of people that women talk about when they say, like, men can't handle this shit. I think that's I think that's probably fair to assume, no? That there's going to be those people, and then there's going to be people like me who honestly are petrified of being able to, of making women uncomfortable in these situations to the point where it has literally prevented relationships from occurring. Because I'm
you're
just
not trying.
Well, no, I'm too scared to try. To be specific. Like, and I think a lot of men are, because they hear stuff like what you're saying. Okay, a lot of people online are telling me I can't approach women at the gym. I can't approach women at school. I can't approach women in public, like just walking around. I can't approach them at the grocery store. Fuck, okay. And then you see other men approaching these women, like online, and then getting called like weird or creepy. And it's like, oh, okay, so I don't want to be a weird creep. So, but there's no place for me to approach women. But women also say that they like confident men who are willing to like ask them out and approach them. But I can't approach them anywhere. So what do I do? I am that young man. What do I do? Geek, what do I do?
Okay. I'm going to address this in a second because I wanted to respond to a question that you asked earlier, like about like, what do I do if I cannot approach women like in the workplace, in school, in all of this situation and everything? I came up with an, okay, it's just an hypothesis. It's just something that I came up with in my mind that kind of makes sense. I want to run it by you.
Sure.
I believe that like the situation that like where you could like make an approach and everything, where like it's kind of like indirect, is like places or situation where like instead of like you are pursuing like your like solo goal and like the other person is pursuing their solo goal, it's a place where you share a common goal, where you're all working towards the same objective like as a group, where you have like an organic reason to approach people.
Like what, a sport?
It could be sport, it could be volunteering, it could be like like I don't know, situation where like, because I believe that.
Sorry, can I interject, or do you want to finish?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so let's say me and I join a volunteer group, and there's a woman that I find to be attractive. Would it not be bad to potentially, approach that woman and ask her if she wants to go out or if she wants to have coffee? What is the difference between that and me doing it at school?
Because when you're doing it at school, basically, or when you're doing it like at some like basically at like some place where you have like technically no other reason to talk to the person, you're basically, I don't know, for me you're a vacuum salesman. You're the guy who knocks on the door and who's trying to sell his own shit. Like, he doesn't give a fuck if you need one, like who you are, if you need one or anything. You're just like approaching people because you're interested by them. You don't have like any idea of the reciprocity or anything. Working towards a common goal will give you like interaction and like the time to like not only know the person, have reason to approach them other than that, and like get to know them a bit more.
A commonality that I've seen is the dislike for approaching people because you find them attractive is primarily it. That's what it seems like is the most common kind of disgust for this thing. I've gotten it in people in my chat. Why would you want to approach a random woman? Is what I've gotten before. Because I think that they're attractive, or because I think that I could be in a relationship with them and I want to talk with them in that circumstance. Or it could be that maybe I want to be friendly with them. Maybe they, I don't know, are doing something that they could use some guidance on. I don't know. Like maybe I want to be neighborly.
Bullshit on that one. You have no indication, like when it comes to relationship, you have no indication. The only indication that you have is physical appearances.
Correct.
I don't think that anyone is like Sherlock Holmes and able to deduce how much money. Well, it depends because you get like fucking sneakers culture in the US.
So what
you can't deduce how much the person is making and everything.
Sure.
Go ahead.
So what is wrong with that?
The fact that like you were talking earlier about like using like flawed tools.
Correct.
Like this is one of them.
It's not. All it is, hey, you could be somebody that I could be, attracted to, maybe fall in love. Do you agree that physical attraction is an important component to a relationship?
I'm not representative of most men because like my answer is only in the extent of like I need to like.
Sure.
I need to find something that I'm not going to find like disgusting.
I agree.
You know?
I think me and you share that same opinion. As long as I'm not repulsed, like actively, we're vibing, right? But let's just talk about like, do you think people, like men and women, probably find it pretty important to have a partner that's attractive? Broadly,
yes,
men
most
and
of the
women.
time.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
100%.
So what is wrong with approaching somebody and trying to figure out who they are as a person based on whether or not you find them attractive, if it's important to people inside of relationships?
Because this is such an arbitrary criteria, like who you find attractive. It's based on like so many things that are like almost random that like I don't believe that like you can hit well.
What, I mean, you know when you're attracted to a person, no? Like you can feel it.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so then you just walk up to them and you talk to them and then you get to know their personality. What's wrong with that?
I don't know. I'm just considering this as a bias. It's just like, yeah, I'm naturally attracted by them. Like they have something that like for me is like more appealing than like other women. Like other than like keeping this in mind, this is not something that will make me like approach someone, because I've seen so many people that are super attractive, but as soon as they open their mouth, like their score goes to negative.
I agree. Me and you agree. But you're never going to know if their score goes to negative or goes to 100 unless you talk to them. Why not talk to them?
Okay, maybe this is me using the biggest flawed tool in the world, but like usually, like just hearing a conversation, hearing the accent, hearing how they tell a story and everything. Like I don't know, in 1 minute conversation, like usually I feel like I get enough information to see if I want to pursue.
Brother, I would say you're doing the same thing with looks that you are with that. I think we can be very quick to judge on some of those things that like probably shouldn't be done. I don't know. That's me. It's different strokes, different folks, right? Like me and you are going. It sounds like me and you are in very much agreement when it comes to looks. As long as we're not like actively repulsed by you, it's open, right? We're game. We could get to know you, and it could be a beautiful, long-lasting relationship. Who knows, right? It seems like me and you are in the same opinion on that. Other people, I would say, probably the majority of people are probably not in that opinion. They probably have to be at least moderately attracted to their partner or lightly attracted to their partner, which I would hope that people would broaden their scope a little bit, but I understand if that's something they don't want to do. But I don't see anything wrong with that, because I think people have confused what being shallow is. Being shallow isn't approaching attractive people because they're attractive and then trying to get to know them. Being shallow is refusing to get to know somebody if they aren't attractive to you. That's what being shallow is. Huh? Like, if I actively reject getting to know anybody because they aren't, like, attractive to me, like, I just won't talk to you, I won't interact with you, that's what being shallow is. But if what it takes for me to muster the courage is for you to be attractive to me, then I don't think that's shallow. I think that's just, hey, this person has one of the several qualities that I want inside of a partner, and this quality happens to be one that I can assess visually, then I'm going to interact with that person. What's wrong with that?
I don't know if I agree with that.
What's to disagree with? What are you disagreeing with?
That like shallowness is only not like I believe that like participating to this and like giving more chance to people based on their attractiveness like is something that is like shallow.
What do you mean more? What do you mean more chances to somebody who is more attractive? What do you mean by that?
That like for instance, let's take like the example that I gave you, where like you know like you gravitate toward attractive people. Even like to get more information, like you know, like you're not really going to engage, but like just hearing the way they talk or they tell a story and everything, like all of this shit, like that is shallow, like in its nature, because like I'm not giving the same amount of chance to anyone. And like being attractive is sure important for the beginning of a relationship, but that's not something that's going to carry the whole thing. It's going to be important for like the first 15%. And you're basing your whole thing around this 15%.
I don't know if that's true, actually. I think that that's going to be a circumstance that me and you are rather unique in. I think there's people who care about their partner's attractiveness their entire lives, right? And then like when they're like old or something and obviously it fades, it's just something they kind of deal with. But I think there's people who care about like how their partner looks for most of their life. And I think me and you could probably say that that's something that the average person might need to, reassess and reevaluate how much they care about it. If that's what you're saying, is that people should reassess it to that point, sure, but I don't think what I'm simply saying about approaching people is just what do you need to be able to get you out of your chair or whatever to go approach a woman? What signifiers do you need? Let's take a different example, right? Let's say a woman volunteers at a shelter. You don't care that much about volunteering. It's just kind of cool to see somebody volunteer. It's like an interesting thing. Would that be a valid reason to approach that woman?
The fact that they just volunteer?
Yeah, you just think it's an interesting thing. You don't think it's like indicative of their character at all as a person. You just think it's interesting that they do that with their free time. Like a cool thing to do.
Yeah, I think it would like put you like a little like, yeah, like I would like, I don't know, I have a point system in my head, like that would be like, a plus 10,
Okay, sure. How is that any more shallow than caring about somebody's appearance? Because I think when we talk about appearance being shallow, the reason why we talk about it is because we're making the assumption, which I believe is valid, that it has no correlation with the integrity of another individual, the character of another individual, right? So if somebody's doing something that you find to be interesting, maybe volunteering wasn't a great example, but like playing the guitar or something like that, maybe a woman plays the guitar or like the trombone well or something like that, and you find that to be interesting, what is the difference between me approaching a girl because she plays trombone and her being attractive? Neither have correlation with their content of character or who they are as a person. She could be a serial killer who plays the trombone, but I approached, and so what's the difference?
Okay, I would say that like that's not a good response, but fuck it, I'm gonna go with it. Like the response that I wanted to give you is just that like for me, like when we're talking about learning how to play an instrument or like giving time away to do like volunteering, this is like a decision that like you're making. This is something that like you're taking time out of your day to do.
I agree.
Being attractive might not necessarily be the case.
So then if I find somebody attractive because they take good care of their body and their skin, let's say go to the gym, would you say that that could be a reason why I might approach somebody?
Yeah.
Oh man. It shows consistent work ethic. It shows discipline. It shows routine. It shows structure. It shows that somebody is capable of doing something that a lot of people are not capable of doing. Most people who go to the gym do not stay consistent. So it does show some kind of discipline to be able to keep, in the gym.
Okay, but again, like how much can you really like gym buff? Like how much can you like up your stat in terms of like aesthetic purely with gym?
Quite a bit.
You believe that like for men, I believe that like it can be more impressive than it can be for women.
Yeah,
women it's going to be weight loss.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, other than that, like at some point, like when you get like thin is going to be thin, like.
I mean, some people like muscle. I like women with some muscle. I don't necessarily like roided up women or whatever, but they, good quads or whatever. But there's men that, you know, like that or don't like that. The whole point is supposed to say that there are things that we consider to be superficial and not superficial without really good merit, right? Being attractive often takes work. That's just the truth. Very few people are naturally attractive without putting significant effort, talking skincare routines, talking, you know, deliberate time into focusing on the way that you look and how you present. The amount of time that I've spent trying to improve my physical appearance, looks max, you know, moisturizing, looking up what moisturizers would be good, fucking sunscreen I figured out I have to wear and shit like that. It's fucking annoying. And doing that, you know, religiously every day for months is fucking annoying as somebody who's doing it later in life. Finding good clothes that fit me quite well, spending money on those good clothes that fit me well, right? It's a deliberate thing, you know? I like I said, I posted online, it cost me $1,200 in 4 months to go to the gym. You know that? That's a significant amount of money. 170 hours put in gym. If you total the amount of time that I've spent around the gym, like preparing food and like, you know, post and pre-gym time, it probably is closer to 250 to 300 hours spent around the gym. This is a significant effort, you know? And why can I not find this to be an attractive trait in a woman that I want to date?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you got me. You know, like I already agree with you. Like, that's it. Like,
now,
but,
one
like,
thing
I kept out because, like, the reason I wanted to disagree in the first place is that, like, I could push this argument and say that basically you focusing, like, deciding to focus on yourself instead of like doing volunteering or trying to do works that is like more going towards other would be like a criteria. But at this point, this is almost virtue signaling. Like, I think that like it's okay to focus on yourself too, you know? That's also a good sign.
Yeah, I just think as much as I don't like how much people focus on looks, I have to agree that looks matter. People like attractive partners, and I see no valid reason that if you are a reasonable person, that you cannot approach a person because you find them attractive to just get to know them. And if you find out they're not a good person, then you find out they're not a good person. My issue is if they're overlooking bad people on the basis of their appearance. If you're saying like, oh, this person's attractive to me, I find them cute, I just kind of want to talk to them, see if maybe we can't hit it off, I see no problem with that. And I don't see why that's any less valid than seeing somebody who's good at trombone and being like, oh, I want to talk to them. See whatever. It doesn't feel less valid to me at all. Especially given that attractiveness for pretty universally is a core component of what people want inside of a partner. So, yeah. But this, I think one thing me and you can agree on is pretty much every person that has ever been approached in the gym, it hasn't been because, oh yeah, I like that you consistently come to the gym or whatever. It's because they think the person's attractive and just want to fuck them. I think that's like, in almost every circumstance that is the case. So, ass meets grass, I recognize that the majority of the cases are not going to be what we described. But the problem that I have is throwing the baby out with the bathwater, saying that it can't be done by anybody, it can't reasonably be done by a person that isn't shallow. It can be. It's just, will it? Probably not. It'll probably never be done. Like, pretty realistically, by somebody who isn't, like, just trying to get after them cheeks. It's not going to happen. But
yeah, I don't know.
It can be.
Yesterday I was listening to, like, Pixie and, fuck, I forgot the other one. But yeah, like, they were saying that, like, there are gyms where, like, you have space only for women for that reason, you know? Like, Jesus, you know, like that. This has reached that point. It's hard to say to people without any kind of caveat. Like, of course you can, if you understand that. Like, okay. So my answer is like, yes, you can, if you understand that. Like, if your woman says no, you have to back down. You don't try to debate her. You don't try to argue. You just say, okay, have a good day.
Here's the problem, right? With advice like this, right? And you already recognized it, right? Everybody thinks that they're that guy who's reasonable, who's going to back down or do whatever. And of the people who don't think they're that guy, they're not even going to listen to you. They're going to think you're some like blue pill simp. And they don't care. And they don't care when a woman says that they're uncomfortable with whatever, because it's worked 20 times before in their past or something like that, and it just didn't work this time, and they're going to keep doing it. Because sometimes, the fact of the matter is, the reason why they do it is because sometimes it works. That's the why they do it. Because it works sometimes.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. All right, brother. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, one last thing, but like...
Yep.
All right. A few, at this point, it must be almost a month ago, you had like this conversation with like Not So Erudite about like you being confident and everything. Like confident.
It was only like 2 weeks ago, I think, but yeah, I know it.
2 weeks in Twitch time is a month.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's true. Yeah, it's an eternity.
So yeah, I kind of agree with your like definition of like confident, where like you know yourself, you know what you're capable of, you know what you're good at, what you're bad at, and you don't need to go like swing like your dick around
Exactly.
like every.
I could not. Like, the way that I put it, and I don't know how you could say, a man who walks up to somebody who's given a task, and then he says, "I cannot do this. I need help, and I need somebody, or you need to find somebody else to do it," is one of the most confident things I can possibly think of ever doing. But that's not confident by our thing, because by our metrics, you have to believe that you can do it. You have to believe, and that's what confidence is. No, I don't believe that. I disagree. One of the most confident things that you can do is say that you can't do something and you need help, you need guidance. My opinion is humbling yourself, is doing that. But it's not confident. By our definitions, it's not a confident thing to do. And it's fucking annoying.
So for the sake of the conversation, like basically, like let's say that like what people call confidence is charisma.
Yep.
Like, you know, like this ability of convincing people no matter what, that like you can do the task. You're the man, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So let's call this shit like charisma. Okay. Would you say that like basically you lack charisma? You like this capacity of like convincing people that like you're the man?
Do I like it? What do you mean?
Do you lack?
Oh, lack it. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Under typical circumstances, yeah. But it's primarily about being friends or being in a relationship. I don't know how to convince people that I'm a good partner. And I'm not sure I like the conventional ways of doing it. I feel like I have to redefine it in a way that makes sense for me and looks good to me. Because the typical ways are like stereotypical, it's Riz, right? It's being like being smooth, and I don't like that. I feel like I'm good about it in a professional sense. If somebody's like, "Hey, are you capable of doing this?" I can easily look you in the eye and shake you in the hand and say, "I'm capable of doing this. I've done this 100 times. I can do this job." And like, I can be convincing in that capacity, in a professional capacity. But I don't think I can be convincing as to whether or not I could be a good friend or partner to another person, because it just that's like a different demon. Like convincing people that how do I convince somebody that I have high self-worth and that I'm not going to like freak out on them if they reject me, or if they don't want to do something or something like that, or that I'm somebody that could be fun to take with on like adventures or whatever the fuck they want to do. That is a difficult thing to navigate for me. And I don't like the conventional ways of doing it.
What do you mean by conventional ways? Like with charisma? Or?
Yeah, so like Riz, right?
Yeah.
So like, what is a conventional way for me to prove to a woman I am confident and I have high self-worth? Is to approach her, you know, to look her in the eyes and be like witty, have some banter, you know, go back and forth, say, you know, you're cute, right? Shit like that. And then, you know, think stereotypical Riz. I don't like that. I don't like that way of going about it. It just doesn't feel, one, natural, or two, it just feels cringe. I don't know. It doesn't feel, I don't like it. I would prefer to go about it in a different way where I can have like conversations. Like, it's not my style, I guess is what I would say. You know?
Yeah, I think on that, like, we're like similar and everything, which is why like I thought about like this idea of like places where you have to work together instead of like you're like working on like getting better like at the gym and everything, and they're working on in their corner at getting better. Like finding places where you can interact and like basically, because like when you have a purpose and everything, like when like for instance you're in a debate and everything, like you're comfortable. Like you're like, I would even say you're charismatic. Like when you're like in a context where you talk about shit that you know, you're like in your element. And I believe that like you're capable, like there's a way to like channel this energy and put it in a context where like, you know, you can shine basically, like be in your element and like show the best of yourself.
Yeah, I'd agree that's probably possible. It just takes a level of social skills and charisma that I just don't currently possess, and I'm going to have to work to be able to get to. And I'm trying to do that work. It just takes quite a large amount of time. That's just really what it comes down to. It's just going to take a lot of fucking time.
Okay. I don't know. I would say you can still, I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's me copying, but I would say that like you can already bank on like what you have.
I've tried, no success. It's not been successful.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not you. You know, you know best. You do better. Anyway, I'm not going to take too much of your time. Just wanted to have this conversation with you.
Okay, buddy. All right.
You have a good one and like the stream, people.
True. Much love. Talk to you later, buddy. Bye. Do you put yourself in such a social situation to build those skills? Yeah. I do now. I didn't before because I didn't care enough. But now I feel like, one, I have to more care about it than I used to, and two, I kind of want to for the sake of documenting the process. Kind of want to make more structured YouTube videos. I want to talk about the process of going from, you know, earlier in my life when I was an incel to right now and later in my life when I was a volcel, and then like right now where it's at, going from like volcel to like how much of my celibacy is voluntarily and shit like that, and trying to just establish a better social circumstance for myself. Being able to make friends if I want them, which I really don't, but being able to make friends at the drop of a hat if I want to. Pretty important stuff. So yeah. Back to the video.
For that matter.
I mean, some men opt
have the right
to
to wear a condom.
have their name put on the birth certificate. That's not true.
You have the right to wear a
Parental
condom.
rights.
That's
But
not
they don't have,
reproductive rights.
that's not reproductive
Well,
rights.
it's because it's not your reproductive system.
You have
isn't
the
it?
right to
Like,
wear a
if
condom.
It was,
Well,
if it was your body, then you could choose.
The right
that's
to
why
wear a
that's not-
condom.
That's the other thing is that like,
It's
you
my
know,
nut.
it takes two, assuming that
I really, if I was Pixie or Aaron, I would not be defending this point. I really, I earlier talked about it as if it wasn't a thing, but I really, because for the sake of other people, but I feel like it is best that that men should have reproductive rights, and they should be able to say whether or not they have to pay child support for a kid. I think that's just it only makes sense. It really does. It's only in the sense of fairness, and without that fairness, I feel like shit really starts collapsing. Really, yeah.
It takes two, though.
assuming it's a consensual interaction, take two to tango,
It almost always is.
right? So men know what they're getting into when they have
You could pull
consensual
out.
sex with a woman.
Yeah, but
And women know what they're getting into when they have consensual sex
you could
with
still
a
get
man.
pregnant.
I think sex education is incredibly lacking because there are a lot of most pregnancies are
teaching us.
accidental pregnancies.
Okay.
But like from there, you're saying that like men have no choice or whatever, and it's like, well, if you're choosing
Sure, you can go
consensually
first and now.
to engage to have sex with a woman,
Go ahead,
you are
sorry.
accepting that responsibility that you may get her pregnant.
This is a terrible argument, obviously, because so is the woman. I don't make this. Don't fight this. I just wouldn't fight this. The woman is making the choice as well to engage in that consensual activity that may result in a pregnancy. So why should a man not get any reproductive rights if a woman does? Doesn't make any sense, right? The only sense that you can make it, and it's an argument I've made in the past, which is just that, like, it's a woman's body, and once the baby is out, we kind of just have to force the man to take responsibility for the baby financially. We just have to force them to do it because that's what's best for the kid. But at the end of the day, what allowed that kid to exist was the woman's decision, and the man is being blamed for the woman's decision. And by blamed, I mean take responsibility, not blamed. Right? So I have to take responsibility for that woman's choice, and I have no say in that choice. Right? We both engage in a consensual act, and then she now holds all the cards that could financially ruin me or have my life completely unchanged. And it's up to her. I feel like it's probably best for people if we allow men to get say in whether or not they pay child support.
I think the point Myra's making, though, is that fundamentally, in a state where abortion is legal, the woman has the right to exercise that option, and the man does not have that right. That's where the disparity occurs.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that
So-
kind of.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I just think this line of questioning is kind of weird because reproductive rights is about your reproductive system. So if it's a woman's body that's going through the whole process of pregnancy, then it's her reproductive right because it's her system.
Reproduction is by default, by definition, actually a two-person tango.
Yeah, but reproductive rights refers to the rights of your own body.
But you contradict yourself, y'all. When
I
y'all
mean,
say that,
women
y'all,
are-
as a woman, you contradict yourself. You
women are
can't
kinda
say,
wrong.
"Oh, it's my reproductive system, so when I get pregnant, it's my choice." But then say,
May I say
"You
something?
chose to nut in me." That's a fucking contradiction.
No.
Be
Women
fucking
are
real.
wrong in a sense for allowing men to have a choice.
That's a
in that.
contradiction. You can't say he has equal part because he nutted in you and got you pregnant, but now when it's down to your decision, now it's yours and he has no right.
Any
That's
woman that
exactly a
doesn't let a man have the
contradiction.
choice in having the baby or not, they're wrong in that. But they're just wrong.
No, it's correct. It's correct to say that obviously, because the baby is gestated inside the woman, then it's her body, and therefore it's her decision whether she goes through with that birth or not. That makes sense. But I suppose the issue really is if the man in the equation is adamantly against bringing that child into the world, he raises those concerns with the woman, and she says, "No, I'm going to go ahead with the go ahead with the birth." Then he has no right in that situation in the same way that the woman does. I mean, yes, the woman physically births the child, but the father is compelled to have a child that he didn't want to have because he doesn't have the same option that the woman has. I think that's the fundamental issue here.
Okay, that's a separate issue than a person's own reproductive system. We can talk about parental rights and stuff like that, but I just want to make it clear that there's a difference between reproductive rights concerning your own system and just parental rights.
And
for
those rights
example.
mean when you have the child, now he's forced to be a father when he doesn't want to be a fucking father.
He
So
should've
no,
worked
going
on
back
that.
and
The
forth.
right to
Can I
work
speak
on
for a
it.
second? One mic at a time. I'm sorry.
We're all talking.
If you choose to have a child after you spoke to the nigga and he said, "No, I don't want to have a child," now you bitches go for child support and all the parental custody shit. That
Unironically, I think this chick is right. I haven't heard anything that she said is so far is wrong.
comes later. It starts with the reproductive rights. So that's exactly what we're talking about. You guys keep going back and forth. No, once you decide, because we get the decision to have the baby, now he's forced to be a father when he didn't want to. That's the point. That's
He
should have pulled out.
Can I say something?
And you say that after, but y'all
It
just
doesn't
be like,
matter.
"Oh,
And
come
women
on,
too. No, we
Everyone's
don't.
talking
Speak
at
for
the same
yourself.
time.
That's what you
All right.
say.
So
Try to
Zena,
speak-
finish your point. You can go ahead, and then who else had something?
I
wanted to say you're right. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, you had something. You had something. Who else had something? I want to make sure everyone can get a chance. Who else did? You
I
did?
did.
Okay. All right. So we'll go.
Do you think men should be able to financially abort if a baby is had against their will? Yeah. I think it's just for fairness sake. If in any state where a woman is allowed to get an abortion, a man should be allowed to get a financial abortion. Just for the sake of fairness. I don't think it's best for the children. I don't. I think it's unfortunately best for the children that men are forced to pay for child support, but I think that results in severely worse outcomes for the mental health and well-being of men who are alive who are sexually active. You are literally a slave to whether or not that woman wants to have that kid. It is a horrible situation to be in, to put a man in. Like, that's a nightmare scenario. And to disproportionately, because a woman just never a woman doesn't have to experience that. She does not have to experience that. The feeling of like just being completely at that your casual hookup partner's whim as to whether or not you're on the hook for 18 years of child support. That's not something that women experience. It's a uniquely man thing. And I think that's a fucking horrible experience to be able to be put through. The decision-making process of a woman deciding whether or not she wants to put you through that. Oh my God. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. This isn't to say that women's experiences of abortion are less severe than, or sorry, whether or not they can legally get an abortion are less severe than that. It's just straight up that it just doesn't feel like anybody cares. That men are unironically slaves to whether or not women want to keep like children. Like nobody cares. It feels like, except for like red pillars, which is fucking ridiculous to me.
Here and then there and then back.
Well, what I was gonna say is like she's right in a way. So like if a man did not want to be a part of that baby's life, he should be able right in the beginning sign like, oh, if you're gonna keep this baby and I don't want nothing to do with it, sign something where she's claiming that she's gonna take full responsibility and he doesn't have to, pay child support.
The consequences of a man having to pay for child support he didn't want is worse than the consequences of a child being raised on a single mother's income. That's insane. No, it's not that I think that the consequences like directly or worse. What I think is just that we are getting to a point where I feel like fairness is going to be such a big deal that like the ability for men to be able to say, hey, I don't want to have to financially look after this kid is going to be such a big deal that, yeah, the consequences could get worse. And I think that's probably going to happen. I don't think they are worse right now, though. I think if you have sex with somebody and then you're forced to pay child support, I think that that's better for the kid. And it's better for the people. But based on what I'm seeing right now, like, I feel like people are going to fucking take this to such a crazy degree. The amount of like man versus woman, us versus them that's happening here, I think fairness needs to take a front seat. Like a semblance of civility needs to take a front seat. That shit would be abused so fast. A man changes their mind day of the birth. With recourse would you have? What recourse would you have? I think you should like maybe have to set into motion within the first 3 months whether or not you're going to take care of it. Maybe. I also think Pixie is wrong about reproductive rights for men, slightly as well. Things like stealing men's sperm isn't illegal. Oh, yeah. Heard of that. Mainly because it's hard to prove, but it's still not fair. It's, Or no, it wasn't that. Wasn't it like that there wasn't a law? There was some dude that put his own sperm inside of women when they were trying to get like sperm injected into them or whatever. Lying about birth control isn't illegal? Oh yeah, that 100% should be illegal. But like what happened with Drake? Yeah, that's true too. That should have been illegal.
Because just like women, sometimes there's men that want to keep the baby. Bitch be like, nah, I don't want this shit and abort it. So it should be fair. Where if he don't want nothing to do with the baby, he could sign right away. So if she decides to keep it, well, bitch, that's on you.
So you're saying what should be. Okay. What about you?
Yeah, I was going to say that too. Like if a man wanted his child, but the woman's like, no, this is my body and I get to commit murder.
So you guys were talking about the ideal. Okay.
Yeah.
What about you?
Like based on like what you're saying like if they decide to keep the baby, but they're talking about like you're talking about taking abortion away, like you're pro-choice. So if abortion like pro-choice is no abortion. No pro-life. Pro-life.
No, we didn't say nothing about
But I'm saying like when if they're doing that or whatever, like it's harder. I say like if we're taking abortion away, I'm bringing this topic in.
We didn't say take
We
abortion.
didn't say I said I'm taking.
We
I'm
said
bringing this topic
reproductive
in.
rights, meaning both people should be
Reproductive rights
involved.
meaning taking.
That's not what that
reproductive
means.
No, we're saying if a man wants a
they
baby,
should both have say.
Once you understand, I'll move it to her and then
I
just
thought I was bringing a topic
formulate your
in.
thoughts and then come back. Somebody else had something over here. Go ahead.
I did.
Yeah.
So
you
I
brought
feel
this up.
like what Pixie said, a lot of confliction is going on between reproductive rights versus legal and custodial rights. So where do you feel like the inequality lies here, where women are empowered in a way that men aren't legally?
We got to start from zero and then work our way forward. Number one, when it comes to reproduction, it's a two-part process. You cannot have it occur without the male being involved because sperm needs to come in and hit the egg for it, right? So what I'm saying is that men have zero reproductive rights because women choose who lives and dies when it comes to birthing in the United States. Then from there, if you guys want to talk about parental rights, men virtually have no parental rights either. Women win 90% of the custody battles and they get the child most of the time. The woman has to be a damn near crackhead and a multi-time convicted felon to be able to lose custody of the child. So if we want to talk about reproductive rights, zero. And then if we want to talk about parental rights, virtually zero as well. So realistically speaking, going back to the original question, what rights and privileges do men enjoy that women don't?
And that's actually a privilege that women have that we don't have any say in.
Well, like as far as reproductive rights that you think men are entitled to, do you believe that men should be able to dictate whether or not another adult woman should be forced to have an abortion?
No, the equivalent would be us choosing whether or not we pay for it. That's what everyone advocates for, right? Women get to choose whether or not if somebody is born. Men would get to choose whether or not they have to be legally liable for that birth. That's the idea that they posit, right? Obviously.
Or to carry a child to term.
Well, if
chill.
If the men should be able to have a say. If you're able to kill the baby, then I should have a say in killing a baby too.
You guys don't know what it does to our body.
Wait, what does he mean by that? Does he actually think that when he... What does he mean when he's have a say? Because if he's talking morally, I think anybody reasonable should agree with him.
How we feel or anything.
But it's
right
not
to
your
sign off on a
reproductive
baby.
system. That's the
Guys,
problem. We're talking
not-
about
men do
reproductive.
have
your body. Well, like,
Once again,
rights.
ladies,
You guys-
I get that you guys are in your feelings right now. Like, hey, it's my body, it's reproductive, it tears my body up.
This isn't
All I'm
feelings.
simply saying, hold on. We're talking facts, not feelings.
Change the subject.
No, it's simple. You have all the reproductive rights. Men don't. That's all I'm saying. We're not talking about what's good, what's not, what we should
A
be,
woman
what
can't
could it be.
reproduce without
What
a
I'm
man
saying,
coming.
stop talking, bro.
My bad.
Anyway, what I'm saying is that the fact is this: women have all the reproductive rights in any first world country. Men have zero. Now, whether it's moral or not is a different thing. That's another discussion. I'm just saying the fact is men have zero reproductive rights, and that is a fact. That's not disputable.
Well, you have control over who you have sex with, right?
So do women.
It doesn't matter. What I'm talking
So do women. So should abortion be illegal because women have this is ridiculous.
about is when the sperm hits the egg and a pregnancy
Yes,
is there,
once a woman is
the
fertilized, it
reproductive
all lies with her.
process, the man loses all the rights, which is the debate what we're having. We're not talking about because you guys are trying to bring it to feelings of, but my body, my choice, maybe I don't want to do it.
Men
blah,
have
blah, blah.
reproductive rights that pertain to themselves, but never ones that would extend to another woman. You know.
But
Like,
it's
if you want to get a
the
vasectomy,
point
that
is
falls under male reproductive rights.
the point is
Well, the point is that what women do with their body in that reproductive right, it doesn't just dramatically affect a man. It can completely change his life fundamentally. So, like, just because it's not physically attached to the man, it is legally and morally, really, if we're talking morals, it's morally attached to the man. It is. Because if you keep that kid, they are not only legally, but also very much morally obligated to do that. For the consequences of, like, being ostracized from your fucking society. Like, deadbeat dads are shunned everywhere. Every single place you look, they're shunned. So for sure, like, legally and morally, they are attached. So that's kind of the problem, is that, like, well, it's not physically attached to you, so it has nothing to do with you. No, it has everything to do with you. It's just not physically attached to you.
Yeah, is that we're so blessed to be females. Look how privileged we are.
Yo, Gaspel, what the fuck? Yo, what the fuck, bro? Chill.
Need to be grateful. Who's a single mother here?
Yeah, me. But a man
you know how much right we got.
But a man can't reproduce without I mean, a woman can't reproduce.
We got
without a
mad
man.
rights.
Okay,
Okay,
I
so-
feel like this is being derailed.
Okay,
Who
so
has rights?
No,
Not you.
all
Can
right,
I?
so we just,
I have
hold on,
no
hold on, look. We just got to have some ground rules here. The fact is that men have zero reproductive rights. That's a fact. That's not to be disputed. We're not talking about the, whether it's moral or not. That's a whole other discussion. Now, going back to the original question, what rights and privileges do men have that women don't?
I know one.
Hold on, wait your turn.
Rights that men have that women
And if you
don't.
can't think of one, I'll move on to the next person. Maybe you could think of one.
No, as far as like on paper, no, men and women legally and nominally have the same rights.
Okay.
But obviously, if we look at a lot of society, the inequalities within society between men and women lead.
Yeah,
such
you're talking about like
different lives and stuff like that.
systemic
Disadvantages. yeah.
disadvantages. Like what?
Like I mean, I'm pro-choice, so I see
We went over
women's
that.
inability to be able to exercise and procure an abortion as an infringement upon women's rights.
Okay. Well, they can
Like-
at least go to another state where it's illegal and get it done there.
Yeah, but why should they have to?
They have the ability to, whereas
You
men
have
don't
the
at all.
ability to, right? But in the same way that it's like you have the ability to become a billionaire, right, and make tons of money. There's going to be other social obstacles that prevent you from doing so that are not.
I wouldn't put those two in the same arena. Driving over state lines to be able to get an abortion and becoming a billionaire, I wouldn't put those in the same arena.
Not legal. There's nothing stopping me from becoming a billionaire, but am I going to be a billionaire tomorrow?
Well,
No.
your merit and your hard work is what stops you from being a billionaire.
That might be one thing, but there's
That's
a
a
lot of
victim
other
mindset to take.
social advantages. No, I feel like that's just acknowledging the descriptive reality. Like, why aren't you a billionaire?
Working towards it.
Working towards being a billionaire?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
It all
but, like,
depends on your
what are-
mindset.
But
You think that the only thing that's going to determine your
You're taking
income
my space.
over the span of your lifetime is just a mindset? You don't think it's going to have anything to do with your social circumstances, your upbringing, your educational attainment, how much familial and generational wealth you already have?
I mean, with
your
that
race,
mindset,
your
we can go
gender?
ahead and look at everybody that made it out of the hood to the NBA or to the NFL, or they were able
No,
to
those are
overcome some
exceptional
crazy.
people.
Yeah.
But they're the exception to the rule. Like
Okay.
most people, anybody could do it, but not everybody can, right?
Here's the
Yeah,
thing.
but I mean, going to a different state to have an abortion with respect, I think that's a slightly
that is true.
different level of topic than becoming a billionaire.
I mean, if you
I'm still trying to figure out. I'm still trying to.
Your
Okay.
whole scenario was saying in an idealistic world, men and women are equal and that women are disadvantaged. What can they do besides like the killing baby thing?
Plan B. If a man nuts and you know you don't want to have a baby, plan B.
We're past that.
Why
We're
men
past
don't
that.
have
the
birth
last
control?
Okay,
They do.
We
when-
do.
Let's move on.
They
to that.
do.
Really?
Yeah, they
Yes.
do.
You want to move on though?
Yes.
But
Right,
they
can't
can't
handle
What
handle
is,
it.
what is something that women are not able to do that men can do?
Legally, I mean, we had a disagreement over the reproductive rights, but my point is that, like,
Do you have anything else besides that?
no.
Okay,
That's,
so
that was one example.
Well, she tried to say systemic advantages. What I'm trying to get to, and she's saying that socioeconomic, blah blah blah. But I
Like,
still don't
social-
understand.
There are social advantages that are going to influence like systems of government
Okay.
and have downstream effects that affect women specifically.
Specifically, give me an example of what affects women negatively that doesn't also affect men.
Body count.
Yeah, socially are
Yeah,
like,
straight up.
like,
He's talking about
body count.
rights.
I agree with
I'm
that.
talking about rights and
He's talking
privileges.
about rights. Okay,
Rights
so
and
if we're gonna
privileges.
talk about, let's talk about privilege, right?
Okay, go ahead. Sure.
If we're talking about how we perceive each other in society, it's a straight up fact that if men apparently sleep with a lot of women, they're seen as a higher status, right?
that's not true.
Yes.
Well,
What did Sneeko just say? What? What did he just say no to that? Did Sneeko just say no?
according to a lot of people here,
What do you... He has said this. He himself has had debates about this.
it is, right?
No, it's getting to that point where you can sleep with a lot of women, but having a lot of sex with different women does not make you a high status male.
I'm happy
What?
you think that. A lot
That
of men
makes you
don't
ran
think that. Either way, it's not, you don't see women or you don't see people call men whores after sleeping with a bunch of women.
Women
You
call
them-
women whores first.
Yeah, exactly.
Women call women whores more than men.
I know, but I
Well,
don't like to
women-
see
women-
women.
Let's let her, hold on. Let's let her
women shame
finish her
women.
point, guys. Let's let her finish her point. So, are you trying to help her out with the privilege thing?
Well, yeah, if we're talking about privileges in society.
Can you wait till I get to you then? And then
Okay,
and then
yeah,
okay.
sure.
All right. So you couldn't really name anything outside of
No, I could name them, but we have a fundamental disagreement about like to what extent men are entitled to have reproductive rights over women's reproductive systems.
Okay, we went over that. All right, what about you? Are there any rights or privileges that you could think of that men have that women don't?
No.
No? What about you?
I honestly can't think of
Can't?
anything.
You guys have had
either.
plenty of time to think about it, so I hope y'all got something if something. Any rights or privileges that men have that women don't?
A privilege. I mean, you guys can feel safer more of the time. Like the privileges.
I hate this shit.
Like
that's not true.
when you go outside.
Oh my god.
66% more likely to be the victims of violent crime.
Yeah, I was gonna say, why? Please just stop.
Perpetrated by other men, right?
Who can? I don't. Oh, hey guys, I feel safe. Don't you guys feel safe on the street knowing that you're gonna be stabbed by a man and not a woman? Doesn't that make you guys feel safe? Man, oh boy, I feel so much safer on the street knowing that if I get stabbed, at least it'll be by a man and not a woman. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yes.
Personally,
so we're all
But she said
in
feeling
danger from
safe.
men.
It doesn't matter who the other person is, but the homicide rate is way higher for men.
Yeah.
We are at risk of
Violent crime in general. So.
Do you feel when you go outside, do you normally think like?
Yep, I do. It is nonsensical why men don't. It is nonsensical. I absolutely do.
Oh, I don't like to. We don't like to walk around with the victim mindset.
That's cool. You don't like walking around with the victim mindset. That's fine. Cool. Good for you.
Worse. That's gonna make you a victim more often.
I don't.
What?
I think that's
that way.
a victim mindset.
That's exactly what it is.
Contending with reality that like there are some areas of life and society that are more dangerous than
She
others.
said you
in
walk
specific
around
genders.
scared. Just because I know the homicide rate is higher for men, it doesn't mean that I'm going to walk around scared with pepper spray all the time. I'm just going to move my head on a swivel and be more confident, be more aware.
Or not go into those dangerous areas.
But do you feel more comfortable being a man? Like, oh, if something happens to me, I have more of a.
No, bro, I got muscle. How is that going to stop a fucking knife? I'm not Arnold, bro. I don't have 3-4 inches of fucking pectoral muscle to be able to stop a shiv. That's not going to happen. I'm not going to stop a gun because I'm 6 feet tall. Oh, yeah, bro, I'm going to stop this fucking 9mm. Like, are you joking?
Potential to save myself.
Not me.
As a man, do you feel like you two as men?
Oh, that right. My penis will stop the 9mm hollow points from killing me, bro.
We're more. What's the question?
Do you feel more comfortable? Like if you were walking alone by yourself in the dark, would you feel?
I don't walk by myself in the dark because, no, I don't do it. I straight up don't do it. Because I know the reality of being a man. I might fucking die. No, I don't do that. I do not do that. No, I promise you I don't.
More comfortable, like I'm okay.
Then who?
Nobody.
Then you?
Than a woman.
Her question.
I don't know. I haven't been a woman. I'd probably be more scared if I was a woman, probably just because there's a lot of people telling me consistently that I should be scared, to be honest. Right? I'm this scared as a man who is quite often constantly being told that I am the danger when in reality, I'm in danger consistently, and I'm this scared. I'd probably be more scared if I was a woman, but the stats just show I should be more scared as a man. That's just the reality.
She didn't phrase it correctly. What she's asking you is, do you feel more capable defending yourself against threats as a man versus a woman?
Of course, but the statistics don't reflect that.
Thank you.
Having that victim mindset.
Imagine having Sneeko getting the dub here. It should be people on the left getting the dub here, right? You can feel more safe as a man. You are literally delusional. So that's just what it is. You're just being delusional.
Just because you feel more unsafe doesn't mean that you are at risk of violence more than.
That's what you're asking,
I'd
right?
say, yeah, but.
SMH, Destiny's saying you hate women on stream because he literally has no context? Wait, when? Is he saying that now?
I wouldn't say it's a victim mindset. It's we have to be more cautious than men.
No, you don't. The statistics do not reflect that.
Maybe you guys put yourselves in that situation for it to be the statistics.
Just now? Just now? Wait, what? Watching both a little bit ago when talking to Cherry? Huh? Can somebody get me a clip? Because I don't want to get in there if that's not what he said. Can somebody get me a clip?
I'm drunk, sorry. The statistics to be so high, though. You guys put yourselves in these violent crimes for the statistics to be so high. Females don't engage into that stuff. That's why the statistics are so high.
That could be
but
why.
But normally,
All right, if you're drunk, bro.
My Discord, not yours.
I can
So,
kind
bro,
of see what she's saying. Like we're saying like because we're more cautious, maybe
Was it
that's
theirs?
the reason why.
If you were more cautious, you would not be put in precarious situations where your safety is at risk. Hence, you would not be a victim of violent crime.
so on a normal day,
That's
men walking down the street at night are more.
I think the first conversation I had with Lonerbox, like the anti-misogyny arc, is what he said was what improved his view of DGG.
Oh, interesting.
I think it also helps with like the outside people looking in.
Huh. Oh, yeah, except we lost we lost one brave soldier, Ahrelevant.
Did we lose him?
I don't know, man. He seems like he fucking hates women.
You're not a woman. You didn't lose him.
Well, I mean, like, we lost him to the woman hating.
I mean, you didn't lose him to the woman hating. He absorbed it for us.
Oh, maybe. He was like the radiation babies in that Chernobyl documentary, where that one mother survives because her baby absorbed all the radiation. That's what he was like. Primary, secondary, tertiary.
I think you're incorrect here. Hold on.
Really?
Hello.
Okay.
What's up, my fellow incel?
Hello.
What? Quaternary. That's a real word?
Oh, wow. It is actually third order. You're right.
I would like to.
Wait. Did you guys ever grow up, real quick before we get into this, did you guys ever grow up thinking that several meant seven?
No.
No.
Fuck you guys. Never mind. Fucking losers. Just, okay. What do you guys want to talk about?
I just jumped in quickly to just I don't know if I'm just taking this too personally or not, but I'm not upset as much of the subreddit of saying things like are pointless or whatever. I think it's like kind of rude. But what I was most upset about that is that, or the whole criticism, was the fact that they just were basically calling me a liar when it came to my opinions or beliefs or misrepresenting them, and then not even actually trying to debate against them, just being like, oh, they're a liar, like, ah. So I feel like that was the most frustrating part, because it's one thing to be mean, and then it's one thing to be mean without like substance, like empty meanness. I don't know. Like there was
that's actually that is the problem that I have. There's like a polite post, which is okay. Then there's a mean post, which is annoying. But when people start posting shit, like for the gym takers, and people start posting like, oh, Destiny's just defending Melina because that's his wife. Like, what the fuck? Like, I'll shit on Melina for everything that she says is stupid. I'm probably the meanest person in the world. The person I'm the meanest to is probably my wife. The idea that I would simp for some fucking opinion of her is like so fucking stupid. Like when I start to see people accuse me of being bad faith, I just permit because why would you even listen to anything I say? Do you think I'm just gonna fucking lie? Like, why are you even here? What's the point? That triggers me to. That's like the easiest way to catch a permaban is to say some shit like, oh, I think Destiny's just being bad faith or lying. It's like, well, then why the fuck are you watching me? You think I'm just gonna lie about shit? Fuck, that triggers me. Sorry, okay.
Yeah, and I feel like
Pixie?
it triggers. Yeah.
I would just say, like, don't use me as a gauge for what you should, for
I'll
what you
just
should be
wait
able
for
to
them
tolerate
to
or
be
not.
done with
I
their-
willingly
what they're
play
doing.
League of Legends for the majority of my days. So there's a few degrees like lost in warmth of my heart.
Oh, I hope you can gain those if you want it back. Those degrees.
No, I don't want them back.
warmness.
But I think you should also remove the they in your profile, the she they thing. But I'm willing to talk about that off stream.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why. I feel like part of the reason why I put it there is also, and this is toxic on my part. For example, like I was having a conversation with Jackson Hickle the other day, or like I joined that like call. I felt like he would have not added me if I didn't put the she they, because I felt like it was like
I don't know what the hell
bait, or
they're
I feel
talking
like
about,
people
Shine.
or righties are more willing to like talk to me because they feel like it'll be an easy dunk, which I guess it kind of is, whatever. But I feel like it puts my foot in the door, but maybe it's just not worth it to begin with. So yeah, I think I'll just change it maybe to like she bitch or just completely remove it. I don't know.
Blood based, okay.
Yeah. And I just want to say that like the last thing before I dip out, I'll probably dip in later to talk about Fresh and Fit, but not right now.
there was another post. I felt like it was a little bit nitpicky, but I respect that person because they cited their stuff and they gave some good criticisms within it. So I just want to say, like, whoever posted that, like, honestly, thank you for going through the conversation and putting the effort. And yeah, okay, that was it.
Yeah, sure. But how do you like feel that you need to take a break over like a random 150 upvote thread in the Destiny subreddit?
Well, I felt like I might have had to take a break because if so many people are just like, oh yeah, like this basically like this honest ideologue, like everything she says is basically like a lie, like I'm not gonna believe anything she says, then it's like, why the fuck am I talking? Like why if nobody's gonna believe, or if the vast majority of people are just going to claim that I'm like lying every single time or taking whatever I say and making the worst interpretation, then I might as well say nothing at all because it wouldn't really matter, you know?
I think it happens. I think that this is like I mean, you don't have bipolar, but this is like a bipolar break, right? You just like, you're venting, you're frustrated, but then you wake up the next day and you're like, okay, I'm going to go IRL and have a debate with Sneeko. And the next day I'm going to go on Fresh and Fit. Like, you're not really taking a debate. You're just like maybe overwhelmed and frustrated. And
I almost I mean, I don't know. I feel like the fact that Erin was here helped me a lot because like she's staying with me right now, so I was able to like talk a lot of it through with her. I feel like if I was alone, I might have not ended up even going to see Sneeko. I would have just like logged
They're
off
talking about
completely because I
something
was
they
just,
find
like,
to be important.
I feel like having her here helped me a lot with all that processing and shit. Because otherwise, like, I would just be like, yeah, like nobody's gonna believe what I say, so I shouldn't talk.
oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Independent of rude hate threads and dishonest hate threads, I think you might have some resilience issues.
Jesus. My God.
It's okay if you think that. I feel like it's just maybe this is my parasociality within the subreddit or whatever. I think I might just expect more things from this community because I can see a lot of people being capable of like rational argument and discussion. So I feel like when they're not doing that,
they're
it,
having
like,
a separate
really strikes me the
conversation. I'm
wrong
not
way.
fucking autistic.
Well, when it comes to like Sneeko and Fresh and Fit, people are like, "Oh, if Pixie wasn't prepared for Destiny subreddit, she's not going to be like able to handle either of those things." And it's like I don't have nearly as much of an expectation or attachment to either of those places because I feel like most of the community there are like dumbasses. So it's just like, oh, like I don't really. Like, okay, say whatever sexist shit you want about me. Like, I honestly think it's kind of funny how strong you have to, like, I think it's really funny how they have to, like, pretend to be that women are more emotional and yet, like, they're, like, super emotional about everything I say. So, but, like, here it's different. Here I expect people to act better, and maybe I shouldn't. I don't know.
Yeah. Called out forethought.
Listen, I'm just a rancher, all right?
Do you think Forethought's being emotional right now?
No, I think Forethought's being pretty calm. Destiny, on the other hand.
Now I might be able to jump in. I think they're done.
Well, that was it. I hope you guys have a good conversation. I'll jump in later to talk about FNF. But bye.
Later.
Would I be interrupting something if I were to talk about my supposed misogyny arc?
Absolutely not. Go for it.
Not a damn
no.
thing.
Sturgeon. No.
Oh, now you're about to get hardcore critique. Uh-oh.
What, does Sturgeon not like me?
No, he's just gonna fucking derail.
Sturgeon is the resident rhetoric moderator.
Nice, please. Yeah.
Okay. Steven, how am I on my misogyny arc?
I don't remember. I just saw clips too, and it seemed pretty worrying. And then I just saw one today about like telling a woman if she was ugly, she'd cut her fucking wrist or something.
Oh yeah, okay. Wait, what was the? I'm actually curious. Does anybody have that clip? I want to see what context.
It sounded like you were saying. I don't know if you're talking about gym stuff, but it sounded like you were saying like a girl that has all sorts of confidence come up and talk to me, and if I were to say something like you're leaking a little bit of chub, she'd probably cut herself that night or something.
Yeah, I was talking about the insecurity of men and women, and that people who present as very confident are often not very internally. Have very high internal self-worth.
Okay. Based.
Okay. Wait, can I hear how I'm misogynistic though?
I don't know. That's just some shit people repeat all the time. And then I watched a couple clips. I think it was the combo that you had a long time ago, a month or two ago.
Yeah, I think I remember imagine the one you're talking about, the one that I had with DK's partner, I think was who they were. It was with a woman, and a lot of people gave me feedback on that. Yeah, of what I was told, a lot of people didn't like how I said what I said, but at the core of what I said, they didn't really have issues with. Did you have any issues with the things that I said there?
I don't remember. I didn't follow the whole thing a lot. I think I was doing other drama at the time. Or I shouldn't, not that your stuff was, but I was doing like other stuff.
I think I recall some statements about how if you want to have sex, you have to be like a piece of shit, and that you'll have more access to sex.
Yeah, so it's about that there is easier and harder ways for young men to be able to have sex, and unfortunately it seems like one of the easier, more accessible ways is for men to be pushy, to be intrusive, and to, you know, manipulate. And I'm not talking, a big critique that I got was that people kept thinking that what I was saying is that women want bad boys, and it's not true. I think that's old tech. I think the new tech for being a piece of shit to women is acting like you really like them a lot when you don't care at all about them. And then love bombing.
I'd agree with that.
Wait, well, hold on. That's the oldest tech of all mankind. That's called being a fuckboy. Right?
Well, is it? I feel like a lot of fuckboys will. Okay, I don't know, but you know what I'm talking about. It's different tech, right? You can treat women. You can act like you're treating women really well, but actually treat them really poorly, and it's just manipulative to do that. Is what I'm saying. There's different ways to be like a piece of shit to women and be very successful with women, and I think it's harder for somebody to get those kinds of results while also being good, but we should teach them how to do it.
Question: what sort of like demographic, like what young person are you talking to? Like what
would I be talking to, what I hope I'm talking to, or I am talking to?
Both.
Okay, I think I probably am talking to men in their late 20s, mid 20s, who are probably pretty well established in most of their lives. Who I want to talk to is primarily young boys who are in high school, who are young men who are in college, who are struggling to be able to, pretty much Fresh and Fit's audience is who I want to talk to.
I guess one of the confusing things is when you say like, oh, this is how you have to act to like fuck women. Like that's,
I don't.
You can fuck women without acting like that, but like it's almost like if you want to make money, like the best way to do it is to be like a scammer or whatever. And it's like, well, duh.
Yeah, that's supposed to. Well, the reason why I bring that up is because there's going to be people, and I find these people do this often, is they will go to, in the example, being a scammer, and then they'll find that it's at great success rather than, you know, being a genuinely good person who isn't manipulative and stuff like that, and how much work that does take to be able to do that, because it's not as clear cut of a path and there isn't as many people doing PUA, whatever stuff, telling you how to do it. Because it's harder, or I guess because this being the scammer is easier, they think that it's the right way to do it, the only way to do it, or a better way to do it.
Okay.
And so
I also think that like you might get results in terms of fucking people, but you're not going to form any good relationships.
I believe I said that in the conversation. You're not going to be successful in long-term or even short-term relationships. They're going to be incredibly incendiary. But for a lot of these young men, I truly think they just want to be able to get consistent sex or even short-term relationships for the clout. I think that's what they want.
That seems kind of toxic now.
Yeah, correct. And I want to tell that shit ain't all it's cracked up to be able to do that. Like what's really
You can get clout from sex?
Oh yeah, as a man? Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
For women, it's negative clout.
Correct.
No, but who's knowing that you're fucking?
Everybody.
Like if you're a high school boy, there's a lot of satisfying not being a virgin.
Yeah. Well, not even also not being a virgin, just having a lot of sex with a lot of different people. There's a lot to be gained.
Women are the ultimate validating tool for men.
Exactly.
No, but do you like tell people after each person?
Well, you could.
You go back to the boys, you're like, all right, one more down.
Are you talking about, do like my friends tell me? Is that what you're, or have
all
they?
Of you guys, because it seems like you're all on board with this. Like, yeah, I get clout from sex.
It's so like, here's a good example. One of my friends showed me his Tinder, and he had over 150 women that he was talking to at a given time, and every single guy that he shows is incredibly impressed. Like, I can't believe it or whatever, because it's kind of like, that's unheard of.
That sounds exhausting.
Yeah, I agree with you. I promise I agree with you, right? That sounds insane. But it's like, this guy is in a different league, right?
Yeah,
to even
is
be able
he in
to
the
do that.
league of using the chat AI bot? Like, who's talking to these women? Not him.
I know, right? He's like the people who, yeah, the OnlyFans girls who get the, yeah, exactly. But yeah, there's a lot of like clout to be gained there with that for sure. So yeah, that's,
Okay.
I want to talk to that audience of people and get to them to be able to do it. I got a lot of feedback on that debate I had with that person about what I said, why what I said was wrong, ways I can say things a little bit better. But every person that I talked to one-on-one seemed to think that, like, yeah, what I said was primarily rhetorically not well put and left way too much to the imagination. I didn't explain it well enough or whatever, but the core points seemed to be agreed upon.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't watched the whole thing. That's why I never gave like strong judgments at the time. I just heard a couple clips out. I was like, eh.
I just saw
Seemed a little spooky. Seemed a little misogynistic, but I don't know.
Wait,
And then I
Belly.
keep getting everybody's
Yes.
saying that like Ahrelevant is on his incel arc, and then I keep getting linked to these random clips. So yeah, maybe. But maybe
So
it's not, but
just to be
I never watched the
clear,
full combo.
I absolutely am on an incel arc, but it's
Yeah.
not a woman hating arc. I'm on an incel arc because I admitted that earlier in my life I was an incel, and I was an incel primarily because I couldn't. I think I have a lot in common with these men that are looking for through the Fresh and Fit and looking to these people, because earlier in my life I felt like no woman was ever attracted to me, but I just lacked the social perception. There's actually several women who were into me. I just couldn't perceive that they were into me, because it just wasn't something that I was easily capable of doing. Yada yada. I thought it was because I didn't look very attractive, and then I also thought it was because I lacked social skills. And where we're at right now, I think it is because I lack social skills. I don't think it's because I'm not attractive enough to be able to do it. I think I meet plenty of women's looks minimums. It's just I lack the charisma to be able to close, as it was, to be able to get in a relationship. And so I think going through that process on stream and documenting it to people and talking with people about it, people who are better at talking to other people like you, Stephen, who are better at talking to individuals, I would say, at least of what I've seen, in an ethical manner, and how to get
hold on.
places.
Steven talking to people and Steven relationship advice is like very different. He does some weird shit.
No, everything I do is not.
Give me the weird stuff, Fortha. I want
Yeah,
to hear
he's
it.
weird.
Oh,
So,
we
for
got
instance,
two people. Go for it.
There is you spoke. What was that woman's name? Your female clone?
AL or whatever.
Yeah. Her talking about how you don't do any of that like verbal validation kind of stuff when Mel's like, "Hey, how do I look?" and you're like, "You look like shit."
I don't say you look like shit. Damn. I wouldn't say
I'm using
that.
shorthand. You understand what I mean.
No, hold on, wait. What Ayla was talking about for verbal validation didn't have to do with compliments. It had to do with there's a phenomenon that some people will talk about some things, but they're not really looking for feedback. They're not trying to solicit an opinion, and they don't even really care if you're listening. They're looking for some sort of reassurance that they're the right thing. So somebody might come up and say like, fuck, like my mom was such an asshole today, and it's like, it's so exhausting like talking to her. And if somebody told me some shit like that, if it was somebody close to me, I'd probably like, yeah, that sucks. But what they're really looking for me to say is like, oh my God, like that must be like so horrible. Like, I'm sure it's not your fault. Like, I mean, you try your best with your mom. Like, that's what people are looking for. I think that was the type of like verbal reassurance that she was talking about, that a lot of people do that type of like social assurance seeking. And I don't like to assuage it. It's just annoying. I'll do it if it's a girl I'm trying to fuck, but like if it's somebody that I know personally and I have a long-term relationship with, I'm not, if I get into the business of that, it's going to drive me fucking.
You understand how that's like very outside the norm.
Yeah, but I would say that, of course. I mean, I'm giving you this answer. Like, this is what you're supposed to say. Yeah, this is what people are looking for. There's a lot of stuff I do that's like outside the norm, of course. Yeah, but I say that all the time, but everybody ignores me when I say it. But
I guess that's why I just don't think you should be like a particular, I guess, guide stone for how to have a relationship.
Every piece of advice I give is rock solid.
I know.
I'm giving you better advice you're gonna find anywhere on the fucking internet on any.
But it's not. It's not what contributes to your success. Like you call me slurs in DMs.
Hey.
What you?
That is
Leak 'em.
That is not true. That is not true. Okay. Number one. Okay. Number two, if you want a genuine thing for copying what works for me, then, but the problem is that when I start to talk about that, I'm giving advice for normal people in normal relationships. If you're an exceptional person, then there's gonna be different things. If, like a celebrity or like a doctor or somebody that has like huge areas in their life that are massively beneficial, then yeah, the advice to that person is gonna look different, but these people don't need advice typically. Everything that I give is usually like bog standard, like if you're trying to succeed in relationships or blah, 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 like this is probably what you wanna do. And almost nothing I say is controversial. Most of it is just like boilerplate, like this is like the way to approach like relationships conversations. But I never recommend like people trying to emulate like my lifestyle or who I am or anything like that.
So when I spoke specifically about how you went about it, what I was referring to is it seems like our lifestyles kind of overlap to a decent degree. You are degenerate and play video games at a similar rate that I do. And so there's clearly some kind of overlap in interests. You've clearly found a way to present yourself as an interesting enough person for women to, and men. My problems extend beyond women. It's abilities to make friends with people who I don't immediately know all of their interests, and we have overlapping interests. Clearly you found ways to be able to develop friendships and relationships effectively given your degenerate nature. So
or despite my degenerate nature.
Yes,
yeah.
correct.
The reality is that for a lot of these conversations, it super fucking sucks. And this is like a little bit black pilling, but I honestly believe that a lot of the practice for this happens in grade school and high school and college. But once you're out of those environments, holy fuck, is it hard to do? Because like high school, grade school, and college are amazing because people are forced to be around you. Even if you're awkward, people are forced. So you're going to get training. And on all of these things, it's a matter of training.
Yes.
And if you can't practice it, like, damn, that's rough.
So that's where I'm at, right? When I was 15 years old, I stopped going to high school, right? And I stopped getting practice. I never really had very much practice. And I recognized at about 18 that this problem would happen, that it would be difficult to be able to practice or and do that or whatever. But I wasn't a lonely person. I didn't care that much about it. The only reason why I care about it now is because I see so many other different people who are having a similar problem. And I'm kind of like, okay, so there's people in a similar sphere as me that might not have understood like the kind of consequences later down the line of, isolating yourself socially. So I think it would be kind of fun and entertaining and potentially helpful to people to have somebody that is similar to them who has socially isolated since they were 15 years old. I'm 25 now, right? To be able to document the process of me trying to build those social skills and rebuild it. And go out there and get that done. And I think a part of that is being around people who are, for lack of a better term, normal socially, and trying to get guidance. Okay, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing right? Like, was that weird? With a good example is when I go out with some of my friends, like half the time they'll be like, dude, you look really angry. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Right? And then they'll be like, oh, I don't know, you're always scowling. Like, okay, and I have to like fucking readjust my eyebrows and shit to make it look like I'm not scowling at everybody. And just having people around me to be able to guide me through to try and like seem normal, people that I trust to be like reliable or whatever, is kind of a part of that process. And it's just, I find satisfaction out of documenting it for other people.
So it's not the incel arc, it's your incel retrieval arc.
I call it the incel arc because it's all about incels, but yes, you're correct.
Okay.
It's like bringing myself back because I didn't have a similar relationship with like the validation of other people. I feel like as many other people because I wasn't lonely. I haven't been lonely since I was 15. And so it's very difficult for me to like put myself in the shoes of somebody that desperately wants to have friends or validation from women to kind of get in that. But I feel like I can empathize with it because I was that way when I was like 13 and 14. I very much wanted women to like me. But it's just, I think my process of redemption is going to be similar to most people, which is putting yourself out there, getting those experiences. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, and I'm talking in the way I do.
Okay.
All right. Well, let me know if more people call me a misogynist. I want to talk to them.
I mean, I get a lot of clips all the time, but I haven't. If I could go over that long convo you had. That was the one that a lot of people were like, "Holy shit, Ahrelevant's on his misogyny arc."
Yeah, there was a little bit.
But I haven't like watched the full thing, so I don't have like a I'll say it like in passing or during that, but I don't know for sure if you hate women. Maybe you do, but I haven't like come to a.
I mean,
solid
to be perfectly fair, maybe I do hate women and I just don't know it.
Right.
What are the clips of Steven that you've gotten?
I
feel like
literally
he had to have made a claim that he's just not.
Yeah,
owning
so-
up to right
so-
now.
You know, usually what happens is somebody shows me a clip and I'm like, oh boy, Irrelevant on his misogyny arc.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's
I want to
what
hear what
saying.
Relly says
I think
before
it was-
you
it
already
was-
excuse it.
It was literally, I think it was a clip of you as earlier this stream with Cherry. I mean, maybe it wasn't this stream, but people in my chat said, Destiny called you a misogynist right now. And I was like, okay, give me a clip. And the clip was of, I actually have it.
Yeah, it was me listening to you talk about that cutting.
Yeah.
The cutting thing. I was like, Jesus.
So yeah, that's
I mean, at least
then,
with me, he was just theorizing that you potentially have gone that path.
Yeah,
I
it was
said
about-
that you absorbed the misogyny from the community, and so you've like taken it over to better us. But now, like, you're burdened
Yeah.
with it on your shoulders,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
hopefully we can help you now.
I'm a bastion of misogyny now. Oh yeah, there's a couple of things that I guess I wanted to talk about now that I have the presence of you, Stephen.
Wait,
go
can you
ahead.
give me a minute? Hold that thought. I'll be back, and then
Of
we're
course.
gonna go and say whatever you want to do. Hold on, I'll be back.
Has anybody else heard anything like this? I'm not going to shit on you if you legitimately think like I'm an incel or a misogynist. I just don't. I don't think very many people care about what I say or even know what I say. But if you have anything, now's the time.
I mean, I've had like weird impressions recently just because of what people say about you. But like, I don't know if it was ever strong enough to have me have a solid opinion that you're misogynistic or something. I think most of it can be chalked up to like the nature of how we talk about this stuff online.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've gotten a lot of feedback primarily on when I say women or men. I need to say a lot of women or men, which is something that I typically don't have to do when talking about other subjects. Like, for instance, I will constantly say white people. I don't have to say a lot of white people. So I feel like for this specifically, these topics, because of how heated and incendiary they are for like the camps, I think I have to be a little bit, the feedback I've gotten is I have to be more specific here than I do in other places, because people will assume what side I'm on based on me saying a lot or sorry, not adding a lot to a statement.
Yeah, I think it'll be a lot easier for you to frame it that way if you have a stated goal. If your stated goal is to like bring in these red pill people and like turn them into like normal functional members of society, then I think if you always have that in the back of your mind, then you'll figure out the right things to say.
I've tried to have that in the back of my mind, and apparently I haven't had the right things to say. So there's clearly something. I just the goal is to get feedback from reasonable people, and then use that and filter that in. That's supposed to be.
Mine's gonna be biased because I know you're not a misogynist. You've always treated me fair and equal to like any other dude in the space, and like super kind, super charitable. And I didn't even know that you were incel, because I think when I first started watching you, you consider yourself volcel.
Yeah. So right now, I would say I kind of am volcel. I will admit that I'm far more. I'm far closer to being an incel than I thought I was. I thought, like, as soon as I tried, if I wanted to try to get in a relationship, I thought it wouldn't be that hard. It was actually quite a bit harder than I thought.
Can you go into that in more depth? Like, what's your dating life like over the past, like, 3 months?
I haven't really been able to even get to a dating life point. I just don't. Most people find me boring. That is my problem.
What does that mean? Like, you're texting, like, and they're just not interested? Or
Yeah.
what's going on?
So for an example, I've gone to the bars and hung out with some people. I've gone on dating apps and messaged some people. And most of the time, it just ends in, like, very short periods of time.
Do you find yourself lacking things to say?
Yeah, that's my problem. I have no idea what the fuck to say.
Do you generally like get a gauge of what the other person is interested in?
I try, yeah. The problem is what they tend to be interested in is things that I either have very little interest in or I generally despise.
Can you give me an example?
Traveling.
OMG, I love to the traveling chick. Oh, I see it so much. Irrelevant. I know exactly what the fuck you're talking about, dude.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Like a normal somebody like Steven, who I actually think Steven likes traveling. I'm not sure though. But nonetheless, somebody like that I can get guidance from, who actually might be maybe even forethought here now that you share a similar thing. A normal person should be able to go like, I don't like this, but I'm able to like give some questions, show some interest, like, you know, maybe, you know, get to know their relationship with traveling and stuff like that. I just find that to be very hard. I haven't my entire life. I've been surrounded by people with very specific similar interests. Dota 2, Tarkov, XCOM, and things like that. And if you don't like those games, I'm not talking to you, right? Like, in that's, or in the case of streaming, you know, racism, you know, the election or whatever, very specific interests that we can go back and forth about. I am very much not used to.
You're interested in racism?
Yes, I'm very interested in racism.
So I think I don't know if you like this would actually be interesting and like be rewarding for you, but in these types of conversations, I also hate traveling, but I have like a deep interest in like the personal experiences of people in different communities. So I try to link those two together. And I'll say like, when you go to Japan, like what are the people like, and how do you think that is different from how we are here? And like, how do you think that advantages and disadvantages? I think you can get into a pretty deep conversation there. That's interesting to both people.
I agree with you. I think that you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, because you said you think that Steven likes traveling. I think he does too, but I think that's like he's really into trains, but I think that's like the opposite.
So I've been like getting back into dating for the past like 3 months, and I've had a pretty opposite experience. But I know exactly of what you're talking about. Like the chick that's super into travel, and that's all she does and all she talks about. Holy fuck, that was a nightmare. Oddly enough, if you want to get some Riz tips from a literal Reddit janitor, I'm open to it. I'd love to go over some of your logs. I'm so curious what that looks like.
Okay. Yeah, I do that. The whole thing for me is just that I need people who are more socially well adjusted to be able to give me information on what I'm doing wrong and what I can improve on, and then hopefully I can give that to the other people who might be in a similar position to me, might have trouble. Like when it comes to conversations about like of a deeper nature, like more intimate conversations or whatever, I thrive under those conditions. The problem is getting to the point of like my Discord, not yours, like, hey, what are you doing? Like, how are you? Like, what do you do? Right? The base, like the small talk, getting the small talk into the big talk is impossible. It's just not possible.
That's so weird. I've had an opposite experience where like on a second date, like someone's talking about whether or not I'm interested in starting a family. I don't know. I'm just so interested to see what your logs are, because it feels like for me, deep conversations come up way faster than I'm comfortable.
That's insane. You want to swap? I don't know what it is about your profiles, but I need them, bro. I need a copy of your profile. I need it. That's so much better and easier for me to be able to do that than whatever.
I don't know if it's just luck of the draw or something, but fuck, dude. I don't know. I also come off super strong on apps, like all out.
Are you both pulling from on apps or?
I'm just doing on apps.
I try and just talk to people because again, this problem that I'm talking about with small talk applies to men and women. So I'm just talking to people broadly, and I'm trying to get better at like small talk.
I don't normally like go out to like pick up chicks. It just seems like like you give off that vibe. Like it's very obvious and it's super cringe. I hate doing it. So I just go out to have a good time usually.
Yeah, that's another problem for me. Everything that I do that is a good time, there's like no women involved because it's all video games. And it's all like very specific. Yeah, it's like I've been playing Escape from Tarkov with all of my free time. I don't like any hobby that I generally like doing is like 99% male dominated.
Okay, so like there's some nerd stuff that's like nerd adjacent that has a much higher like female population in my experience, like board games, surprising amount of women involved.
I don't.
That's cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I just don't like playing board games with random people.
Well, yeah, eventually, like, you go there, you meet some people, and you see some people you like, you become friends. Congratulations, you now have friends. And then from there, you branch out.
Well,
what are we talking about now?
We're just
becoming normal humans.
Yeah.
Boring.
Talking about being normal people. What I was gonna, yeah, go for it.
Never mind. You can go on with your topics, but before I hop out, because I do need to go to sleep.
Jesus.
Oh my God, Cherry, what
If-
the fuck?
Stop judging my life, okay? If you ever, and I feel like you should have reviewed the Annalicia stuff. I'm gonna be that person to ask the Black person for their opinion. But one day I would love to hear your opinions on like Annalicia's take. So like, I just hear a Black guy's opinion that isn't like rooted in misogyny.
Oh, you don't want to hear my opinion? Okay.
Okay.
I see how it is.
Is forethought? Wait, what are you?
Oh.
She doesn't know.
Oh my God. Yikes.
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 What am I supposed to know?
Don't worry about it.
Uh-oh.
Show me a picture of your hand.
Just get out of here.
A picture of your hand? Leave now. Oh my God.
Wait, Ahrelevant.
Yeah, what's up?
Let me talk to you.
Yeah.
You know, you was talking about you really wanted to travel and like how like Riz is different in different countries.
I don't think I've ever talked about that.
You just said that. You said, "Oh, you love to go to Japan and like Disney love trains and shit."
Are you confused? Are you? Wait.
Okay, whoever it was, someone in here said that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, Forethought talked about a hypothetical person on a dating app who said that they really would like the idea of going to Japan and that they would Oh, was it you or was it Sejin?
Yeah, it was me.
Oh, my bad.
It was Sejin. Oh, okay. So I knew y'all was messing with me then. Okay. Yo, Sejin. No, it's actually so true because I just came back from Africa and like Sierra Leone, right? Dude, the Riz people have in Africa is so wild because, and it made me think about it, but like people that have nothing are able to like embrace everything they have and like just be such a good time. And it's like, damn, like, I don't care that this person is dirt poor. Like, I would let them, I'll let them hit. You know what I mean? Like, so I feel like, you know what it is? Because we're so, like, focused on, like, the material aspects of life, of, like, what we have, like, can I be, like, this high-value man? Like, we're just focused on the external, but we're not, like, looking within ourselves. Do you know what I mean?
I think other perspectives is really attractive to certain people because it can, like, help people value the things in their lives that they didn't before.
Dude, it's actually so deep. I feel like the West is just like bad vibesville, for sure. Like we're always trying.
What happened was you went to some other fucking country and you got major fucking tourist vibes, and because it was different than what you're used to, you think it's some like crazy fucking blah blah blah. But you'd never go to fucking live there. I'm not buying that. I don't think
you're such a fucking liar, bro.
I don't think you'd go and live there. I don't think you go. You want your cell phones. You want your nice
I have my cell
fucking,
phone.
cozy life. You want like all the fucking shit that you've got built up around you. You want buses. You want safe streets.
What do you think
South Africa
Where did I?
Oh, did she say she went to South Africa? Oh, I misheard. Sorry.
No, I didn't. Oh my God, you guys are.
Oh, she didn't say South Africa. Yeah, fuck you.
My bad. Fuck me.
I said Sierra Leone. Okay, listen, I got a lot to unpack about that, but talking specifically about Riz and men, that let's be clear, the men were amazing. Okay. Like, they know how to have a good time. They don't even need to say much, but I just knew, like, I was safe. Like, they were nice to girls. Like, they love women. They love women in Africa. And like, I just feel like the thing is that I feel like y'all hate us for real in the West. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like
I know what you mean.
What are you talking about?
When it comes to men,
in real life or on the internet?
In real life, I don't talk. Are y'all doing this all online? I thought we were talking about real life.
Yeah, I thought we're also talking about real life. I don't understand the vibe you're talking
about. In real life, when I go on dates, I have this, like, I can just feel in the air that the man is there because they want to fuck tonight. And that, like, it just throws me off, right?
Well, wait, hold on, actually. What country do you live in, like, normally?
In the UK, but I'm in London, which is, like, very similar. It's similar culture, okay? Do you not?
Damn. Oh my God. Okay. He's raised.
And it's the same. I've been on dates in America too. I've been on like it's the same. Like I feel like it's the same kind of vibe that we have generally everywhere. Destiny,
Yeah.
you think I'm talking shit?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not.
You don't know.
Hold on. I think I can offer a middle bridge here.
Sussy wussy. Why do I don't need I don't need a bridge.
No, I'm just saying. I think it's understandable what she's saying, right? Like if she's going to another country, right? Like she's kind of primed to be looking and being more open to like the experiences of other people. Whereas in her like home country, where she's used to everything, she's gonna be a little bit more nitpicky.
Wow.
I think that's pretty easy. I think we can all agree on that.
So you're saying she's being stupid. That's what you're saying. She's being irrational.
Wow.
This is kind of what I'm talking about.
Like,
I don't even know what to say about this.
Opens you up to more possibility.
Like, I don't even know what to say.
I'm just saying, when I go on dates in the West, I feel this urge for the man that they're there to get something out of it. When I was in Africa, I felt like the men just love women. And they just want to be around you and they want to absorb like that female energy because they love women.
I think that's cope.
You think that's cope?
I think you just don't understand. Your instincts are wired differently, so you're like you fine-tuned to see the horny vibes coming from American guys or Western guys, and you don't have it, calibrated towards Africa.
How are you meeting these guys you're going on dates with when you weren't in Africa?
Here it comes.
Oh, so mostly when I'm at university and you see a hot person, you do that double take. You know what I mean? Where you scout, so you're like, oh, that's a hot guy. And they'll be like, oh, hi. And you do that, and then you be like, want a date? And then when you're on the date, you're just like, oh, okay, this guy has you can just feel it. Like, no, you can just know just based on like how interested they are. Like when they realize it's not going that way, they're suddenly tuned out.
So you're primarily meeting them like on campus?
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say maybe online dating culture definitely leans heavier towards hookups, so like maybe that could be an issue. But if you're meeting them IRL,
you know what your problem is? You need to get off Tinder. Like that shit is for nerds. I don't know what you're doing.
Me? I mean,
yeah,
I don't.
Like, why are you trying to online date?
What apps are you on? I'm curious. Hinge has been really good for me.
Hinge, Bumble, and Tinder.
Okay, the last two are useless. Okay, just use Hinge and then.
Well, I'm not.
Profile's active and just wait for people like you instead.
I'll be waiting my whole life.
Hinge just gives like really poor vibes. Do you know what I mean? Like it just reeks.
I actually.
Hinge does?
Yes, it's just ugh.
Really, I got the opposite.
Classless.
Actually, I actually like Hinge a lot too.
Maybe it's different. I've been off it for a while.
When's the last time you were dating, Sejin?
About a year ago, year and a half. It's probably the last time my Hinge was active.
Yeah. Wow. I can't believe you think that's coke, man. That's so fucking
That's
stupid.
the biggest coke I've ever heard in my life, but it's all good.
Okay, Destiny. Okay, Destiny. Well,
I go to these poorer countries and the people there are so much more respectful of women. Like I've never heard that vibe. I don't want to like sound racist. I've never heard that vibe from someone. Like I've always heard that like Northern Africa, Western Africa, even Southern Europe, that like so the guys are like way more sexually aggressive, like way more like there's like you have to be careful as a woman. So the idea that you're telling me you went to fucking Sierra Leone, where like 20 years ago there were like fucking rape genocide. You're like, oh yeah, the men here are so respectful and nice and kind, and they're like super cool. Like I totally just don't believe
actually,
it.
maybe
I don't
you're
believe
right.
it.
Maybe
I don't believe it.
Okay, listen. Okay, maybe we're just the scope is wrong. The scope is wrong. We're talking about dating. What I mean is that like people generally as a whole are happier even though they have nothing. And I feel like that energy resonates so much more to the point where okay, go.
I think
Sorry, go ahead.
I think so something that came to mind when you were talking about it that could be true in my mind is that maybe in areas where they're significantly less resource advantaged, you could have people that lay into or feel as though they have a broader spectrum of things they can lay into for finding a potential partner. So in certain places in America, I know this is true. They think that men think that the only thing that they can offer a woman to attract a partner is money, is flaunting their cash. And so maybe inside of less resource abundant areas, they might try to lean a little bit more on like being smooth, charismatic riz, maybe the way that they dress in a specific way or something like that. And they don't lean as heavily into the only thing that I have to attract women is money.
They probably will say that some of the poorer places probably feel a little bit more human if you like to go outside and do stuff, because in the West we're like on like cell phones and like glued to like our shit and we're depressed and sad and fuck all the time. That's probably true. I believe that.
I think people are generally more optimistic because when life is unbelievably miserable, you have to rely on yourself to be happy and optimistic. So they're like,
well, I don't know about that one.
Why? Oh my God, you always disagree with me. Like, what is your problem?
I'm curious which areas you were in Sierra Leone, because I have a feeling you're not going to like the most fucked areas where there are the miserable people. It feels like you're probably going to like college
it was
cities.
fucked. I had that's the whole thing. It was crazy. No, listen, I was not gallivanting in fucking hotels and beautiful, everybody treating me nice because I'm like light skinned or whatever. Like that, I was living amongst like the most abhorrent poverty I ever saw in my life. Like it was crazy.
This is something I've also heard too, and you can, again, it's hard because I'm stereotyping from very few black experiences. I've had two different people tell me this. One was a conservative, so maybe this is not true. Actually, forget everything I was about to say. Never mind.
Oh, Steve, get racist, you pussy.
I was ready.
I was going to be racist, but it had to do with African Americans, not with British black people. So it might not be the same thing.
Let me hear it because I have such a fucking bone to pick with African Americans.
Yeah,
right now,
I'm sure you do. Yeah, I've heard that like black African Americans in the United States, that those black people, that when they visit Africa, they have like a really bad time in predominantly black areas. That those predominantly black people are super judgmental and shitty towards black African Americans that are visiting. But I've only heard that from two people. I don't know how true that is in general.
Yeah, well, you know why? Because they're fucking disgustingly disrespectful. Okay, so listen here, Destiny. This is why we don't fucking like African Americans. Because okay, listen. I have a story. We were standing around in the road waiting for the motorcycle. Some Americans come in their car and they see us and they're like, "Oh, do you guys need a lift?" So we're like, "Okay, let's get in the car with them." Do you know what the conversation? They were like, "Oh my gosh, the kids, they stink. Why are they so skinny? Ugh, I would never get in a pool with them. They're so disgusting." I was just sitting there like, how fucking dare you talk about poverty, like starving children like that, as if you have the fucking audacity to come on here and talk about how, oh, my slavery, my racism is the worst because we had slavery in our country. Like, shut up, man. You really think that your racism is worse than everybody else because you were slaves? Like, fuck off, man.
Can we talk about
it really does hate African American black men? Jeez. They hate everyone else. All right.
They have American exceptionalism, but they're black. But they hate America too. They just hate themselves. They're just so full of hate that they can't embrace anything because they just hate themselves. Like, can I say some really racist shit?
Go ahead,
I'm sorry.
Annalise, yeah.
I'm sorry to say
it
this.
actually is Annalise.
Oh, actually, no, I can't do that.
No, you made me say my shit that wasn't relevant to you, so go for it.
Oh my God. Maybe I'll, I can only say this in African spaces. I feel like I'm upset people.
No, you gotta say, yeah, you really have to say it. You're in a very African space. How many black people are in here?
Yeah, I was about to say there's a majority of black people in this.
This room is 3 black people and 1 Asian guy who's an honorary black, and then me, whose name is Destiny. I'm a black woman, so this is the safest room you're ever gonna be in. Okay?
Oh, okay, my sister.
Oh man.
Someone said they wanted to say something racist to Africans. I'm African. Go for it.
Oh, Alpha, hi. Okay, let's be real. Like, y'all are descendants of slaves, and y'all keep acting like that.
Oh my God.
Kanye West take, let's go.
No, Joe.
I will say I've been around a lot of Africans, and I've never heard anything remotely close to that.
Oh, please. You guys talk about, racism. Racism is the reason we can't do anything. Well, we can't have Oh, please. Whenever we go, when Nigerians, when Ghanaians, when Saloons go to America, they fucking make it and they black too. It's y'all psychology. Like, y'all just choose I don't know. Like it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And then when you come to Africa, you're talking about how, oh, you had it the worst. Oh, please, you were born in the richest country in the fucking world and we still made it. Okay, like y'all just, it's embarrassing, really.
Slavery is a mindset.
Yeah, a little bit. Like when Kanye West said that, like he was spitting. I don't know why y'all roasted him for that.
Absolutely big. That's what I want to hear.
Oh my god, y'all pissed me the fuck off. Like especially, I know it was just two guys, but I had a bone to pick with y'all when y'all told me that I was wrong for like saying we need to embrace all Black people, and then like.
Hold
like,
on.
Okay.
Wait, who said you were wrong for needing to embrace all Black people? That sounds like something nobody would take an issue with. What?
All of y'all told. I had all the girls coming and bully me. Your little Pixie and Straighterade talking about how I was talking bullshit. Okay.
Oh wow, we're bringing all the orbiters in. Okay. True.
No, it was true. Like I know y'all don't remember, but I remember because that was my first time on. So it was like
I'm so curious, Destiny. Do any other like racial or ethnic groups come onto your platform to talk about their own like inner group issues, or is it just
no? But it's just because it has to do with like who I intersect more. Like the Black issues didn't really start until the red pill stuff started, so it's hard.
You know, a lot of Jews. How come they don't be coming up on here and being like, "Well, fuck the Ashkenazi Jews and the Hasidic Jews"?
Because I don't think there's a big Jewish community like on the internet. Whereas I think, especially with the red pill stuff, there are growing Black communities, especially with like the rapper podcasts, like the No Jumper people, academics, Kanye West on Twitter. Like I think more Black communities are getting involved with like online stuff, and I don't know if there's like big Jewish communities or anything like that. I could be wrong, but I just don't think so.
So you feel like you're just around a lot of Black folks.
Yeah, when you're like me, you just have a lot of Black friends.
I remember I come on the podcast and I just keep hearing Jews talking about Jew stuff. Like I remember Lav and Mr. Girl.
Yeah, but even they weren't like talking about they weren't really talking about Jew stuff as much, right? Like they were Jewish, but it wasn't.
They were mentioning their Jewishness. I just think it's curious. Like you do seem to be around a lot of Jewish folks. I just never hear them really talking. So, but I get what you're saying in regards to. I don't know.
Amber, are you concerned about your bank account?
Yeah, I find it kind of cringe that like Black folks come on here so often and be like, "Oh, these Black people and these Black people." I'm like, God damn! Like this is like one of the weirdest avenues to hear it from. So it's one of those things I noticed. And
wait, real quick, Abba, at the end of your sentence, you trail off. At the end of your sentence, you trail off really hard. It's really hard to hear you. I don't know if that's a mic thing or a voice thing.
It might be a mic thing, but it puts you in a weird position too, because you're like this. I think No Jumper has the same thing, where it's like you just have this white dude running this platform with the Black folks come on and argue, and it looks really cringy.
Like the
plantation. Sometimes they appeal to you, and they're like, "Steven, what do you think about the fact that Black men suck?" And I'm like, "Bro, if you talk right now, you just look weird."
Sure, but I think unironically, it is like a weird Black community thing, because I had the same thing where I had a one-on-one red pill debate with the Angry Man. Did you see that? Somehow it involves him dragging on two other Black people to fight with me over red pill stuff, but then it becomes we're gonna start trashing the fuck out of Black women conversation, and I'm like, why are you doing this in front of me? Like, it's gotta feel so bad. Like imagine you're like a Black woman and you watch 3 Black men talk to my like 80% white audience about how fucking dog shit Black women are. I was like, damn, like what the fuck? Yeah, but I think it's like I said, I think it's because those Black communities are moving more online than you see. Like there's not like big like Mexican communities or Jewish communities like fighting and shit online and everything. Yeah.
No, they do. They just do it. They do it in Spanish, so you'll never find out.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
You know what? We're just always fighting, and it's just fun to fight, and you just have a really good platform to say whatever you want. You know what I mean?
Well, not whatever. I mean, we gotta be chill here. Okay, Jesus.
That's what I'm saying. Like we can be chill, but like, you really can't do that in a lot of less spaces. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah, sure. Do you understand what Abba was like getting at with that comment, though?
I don't like that he said cringe. Like that's a very loaded word.
You think cringe is a loaded word? That is the perfect word to describe you coming on here and like shitting on.
Oh please! I didn't come in to shit on Black people. I came to talk about what Sajin was talking about. Like I don't know, y'all escalated it to that.
Okay, so let me reframe. I think it's just very cringe that you came on this platform, talk about other stuff, and then eventually you started just being like, Black Americans are fucking still slaves in their mom. Like,
no, but it was segueing a bit of like what we talked about before.
That's fair.
And you weren't there, so it wasn't like just out of the blue. Like,
yeah, geez, another Black guy coming on to just fucking start shit with a beautiful Black queen.
Why are you trying to gatekeep Destiny's stream? Like, you have to be the only Black person.
I'm just kidding. No, don't. Okay, let's.
I'm joking. Like y'all take it so seriously. Like y'all need to chill.
True. What have you been up to, Abba? How's life going?
Oh no, y'all can keep this conversation going. I just came in to say that little comment. We don't have to change the topic.
Oh, sure. Well, yeah. Well, I was just curious.
You got beef with Black Americans? Get it off your chest, girlfriends.
You can just give us a quick update on what are you up to? How's life?
Why are you trying to change the subject, Destiny?
I'm not. Okay, fine. Fuck it. Yeah, tell us how you really feel.
What do you want to say more about Black Americans? What's wrong with them?
Okay, well, firstly, when you guys go on dates, you're not as fun as the poor people of West Africa. That's your number one problem.
Oh, please, they weren't poor.
Didn't you say it was some of the most destitute you've ever seen?
Where does Annalicia live?
Felicia, she went to Sierra Leone and she loved it because the people there were so much nicer and more respectful of women.
Felicia, that's my name.
Well, I'm
Felicia and Annalicia. That's crazy. That's wild. I'm not gonna lie. So, okay, and so where do you live now?
In London.
You live in London. Okay, you're in the UK. You feel like,
but actually, I will say,
you feel like the Black men in London are great.
I will say the Black men in America were better. Actually, I would say.
Wait, what? I thought you just said they were fucking horrible.
In comparison, but I'm like, it's the bar is the floor, my dude. But like, if we was a cheerleader,
you just shot on like American folks so hard, but you're saying what the African men in the UK aren't doing it for you?
No, that was a different topic. I was talking about them being disrespectful to in Africa.
Hop back in. There's nothing I can.
Children, like
I might end up leaving. There's nothing I can.
Like them thinking that like their racism is the most important and like the worst, and it's
okay.
It's
So once you get past their quote unquote
victim complex
mentality, you think they're better men in some ways.
Oh yeah, y'all are so much better. Y'all are so. Okay, now you got me flipping sides, bro. Like, yeah, African American men are the best to date.
What is that?
Oh my
I'll take it.
Am I getting gaslit in this conversation? I'm so lost right now.
Because they're still gonna like hold the door for you, and they're gonna do all it. Like they're still on their like trad shit, you know. But African men are number one.
Well, the men in London are Africans, most of them. A good portion of them, actually.
It depends if they're like in a, you know, like if they're into their culture or if they're into like the British leftist shit where it's like they're all.
I think that's done. I think I've outlived my presence inside of that conversation. I was gonna talk about the demonetization thing, but things got derailed. I'll probably just message him about it. We'll figure it out. So yeah. My misogyny arc, it's in full swing. Give me a sec. Okay. YT messing with the boys' money. That means they're messing with all our money. Yeah. Yeah, true. All right, I'm gonna go. I gotta go to the gym. It's been fun. I'll be back tomorrow. I think I might have some conversations lined up with people. About possibly talking with some folks about shit. Yeah. All right. I will see you guys later. Yeah. Stay tuned. Might have more content. I want to try and do more deliberate videos that are like focused. I want to do more of those if I can. So yeah. All right. You guys have a good rest of your day.